Hui. Aloha mai. Hello, everyone. Okay. Aloha mai kako. My name is Dawn Chang, and I'm going to help facilitate tonight's meeting on behalf of the Department of Energy on their programmatic environmental impact statement to support the state's Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. Thank you for being here. If we could get everybody to come in. I've asked Auntie Judy if she could open us with a pule.
Aloha Molokai. Come inside, come inside. Come inside, please. All those that is far off, I mean. If you can hear me, that's good. We're going to pull in now. Hello, one reverence. We're going to pull in right now. Okay? We're going to give the Lord all the thanks and the praises. So, puli kako, close your eyes, put your heads down. Lord, we thank you, Father God, for this meeting. God, we know how important it is, Father God, that we are here. You are the blesser, Lord, and you have taken care of us these many years, God. But Lord, we have to be thankful for everything that we have. I thank you, Lord, that we have the opportunity, Lord Jesus, to say one more time, God, one more day, to thank you. Thank you so much for all those that is here. For all those that came from afar, God, that you brought them here, Lord Jesus, on the airplane, on the boat, whatever is, Lord, Father God, that they are here to tell us what their plans are. But we know that our plans has been made, Lord, by you, because we believe. That is why, Lord, we have what we have. All the resources was from you, God, and you are still yet a faithful God. We thank you, Lord, for all those that is interested in all that we do. And Lord, Father God, give us, Lord Jesus, a calm spirit, Lord Jesus, so that we can bring out all our feelings and how we feel about this. But Lord, keep us in one, in unity, God. In unity, we know, God, that we will be unmovable. So thank you, Jesus, for all those that is here tonight. All praises, glory, and honor unto you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Aloha. Again, my name is Dawn. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. We are really here because we heard you the last time. We heard the community when we came out about 2 years ago on the Hawaii Inter-Island Renewable Energy Project, WIN. And that was looking at wind projects on Molokai and Lanai, undersea cable to Oahu. There were several very important themes that came through that meetings and the public scoping comments, and one of them was you need to broaden the scope of the programmatic EIS. You cannot just focus on wind, but you need to focus on all renewables and the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative. So we are here tonight in response to those comments. Okay, nope, you're off. Hello? Can you hear me back there? Okay, I'm going to give you a brief overview about tonight's meeting. Okay, if I could have everybody's attention so that everybody can hear what's going on. The first thing is we're going to have a brief presentation by Jane Summerson. She's with the Department of Energy, who is managing the programmatic EIS. And she's going to tell you about the EIS process and about a presentation about why we're here. We're also going to go into a question and answer portion of the meeting. This is another comment that came out the last time. A lot of people in the community said the process was not engaging. There was no opportunity to ask questions or get answers. So with that, we decided we're going to reassess the process and create an opportunity for questions and answers. So after Jane's presentation, there'll be a period for questions and answers. But I want to make it very clear. that the questions and answer period will not be part of the formal record. The purpose of tonight's meeting is the formal part of the record is the comments. So if your question is a comment, the panel will ask you to provide it as a comment. And then the last portion of the meeting is really going to be the comment period. It is going to be where you tell us what should we consider as we prepare the programmatic EIS. And that's going to be really important. Not only what it is you don't want, but what is it that you want to see? What do you want to see on the island of Molokai or for the state of Hawaii? This is our 7th meeting. We've gone to Oahu, Kauai, Kona, Hilo, Maui, Lanai last night, tonight Molokai, and then tomorrow we'll be back on Oahu. So again, thank you so much for being here. I just want to cover some logistics before Jane comes up. Bathrooms, you guys know this place better than us. Bathrooms in the back. There's some water in the back as well. Please go in the back and sign up on the sign-up sheets. We have scheduled this meeting from 5:30 to 9 o'clock, but we're going to make sure that we hear all of your comments. Everybody will be given an opportunity to make their comments. The final thing before Jane speaks is we have a court reporter. There are some people that may feel more comfortable speaking to a court reporter rather than coming up to the podium to give your comments. So the court reporter is in the kitchen, and you can go back there and give your comment, and she will take it down and transcribe it, and that will be part of the record. Some people may have to leave, so you have the opportunity. If you want to give your comment now, please go in the back, and she will be there. Once we go into the formal public comment process, she's going to come up front. Okay? So I'm going to ask Jane to give the presentation, but I'd like to first of all recognize Colette Machado, who is the chair of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Thank you, Colette, for being here.
Thank you, John. My name is Jane Summerson, and I work for the Department of Energy. I'm going to be, well, I am the document manager for this federal environmental impact statement. And I want to thank you all for coming out here tonight. Your input is very key to making this process a success. First, I'd like to make a couple of additional introductions. Jim Spaeth, also of the Department of Energy, is one of our technical leads, and he has been for the last year full-time assigned to Hawaii and Hawaii's energy issues. Mark Glick is here representing the state of Hawaii and the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative work that's being done by the state. And Mark Eckenrode of the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, part of the Department of Interior, is here representing that agency. I'm going to go through the presentation. We will have a question and answer period to engage on this process, and any questions regarding the presentation. We'll take a short break, and then we'll have the formal comment session. Our vision of what we're trying to do here now in this rescoped environmental impact statement is to evaluate a very broad range of energy efficiency activities and renewable energy technologies. We want to evaluate the potential environmental impacts and benefits of each one of these activities and technologies. For each one of them, we want to identify potential mitigation measures and best management practices that could minimize impacts. And we want to incorporate public input on all of these activities and technologies. This process is an opportunity to inform decision making. It's meant to be an informational resource, first of all for the Department of Energy, but also we hope that once we have completed this process and the material is published, it will be an informational resource for the state of Hawaii and for the communities and the islands that have contributed to it. Why a clean energy PEIS? The state of Hawaii, despite being the third smallest energy user in the United States, is the most petroleum-dependent state, using petroleum for both electricity and transportation. And as you know far better than I, you have the highest, as states go, the highest energy rates in this state. Excuse me. So back in January of 2008, the state of Hawaii and the Department of Energy entered into a partnership, the purpose of which was to work together to address energy challenges for the state of Hawaii. And they signed a memorandum of understanding. Coming out of that, among other things, was the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, which set a goal of 70% clean energy by 2030, which is a very ambitious goal. In addition, the Department of Energy has also, over the past few years, provided quite a bit of assistance to the state of Hawaii to deal with their energy issues in a variety of forms. Full-time staff support, positions like Jim Spaeth fills right now, we've had for a number of years. We have supported technical and research projects. We have supported incentive programs, grant programs. We've supported photovoltaic panels on people's houses, charging stations for electric vehicles, quite a number of different projects. And we foresee doing similar types of things in the future. There are no specific programs planned right now. As a federal agency, we get an annual appropriation from Congress every year, so the kind of money that we have and what it's aimed at changes on an annual basis. So I can't say, oh yes, we're going to do X next year, because we really don't know yet. But we fully expect that in the next few years, there will be many opportunities for the department to continue supporting the state of Hawaii through a variety of activities and programs. In addition to what the Department of Energy has done, the state of Hawaii was working well before we signed the MOU and has continued to work on addressing these issues themselves. And I'm going to ask Mark Glick of the state to talk in a little more detail about the state of Hawaii's activities.
Thank you, Jane. Aloha. I can't tell you what a privilege it is to be here to talk about this subject and to be with you here today. I was lucky enough to spend 7 years at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and was really mentored by Chair Machado and the trustees there, and did a lot of work here, and was really important part of my growth and process. I want to talk about two things. First of all, the role of the State Energy Office in all of this, and the reason why we've taken a fundamentally different approach in this entire effort. And I want to explain that to some degree. First of all, the reason why the Energy Office is even involved in energy planning is because back in 1974, the legislature basically created a position, Energy Resources Coordinator, and placed that functional role on the director of the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. And that's for planning and programs related to energy. The whole idea was to try to, something that I think we all agree on wholeheartedly, is try to rid ourselves of this overall dependence on imported oil and retain some of our income and our jobs by promoting indigenous resources. So that's really what the goal was. And frankly, if you read those early reports from 1974, 75, 76, they sound a lot about what's going on today. Geothermal, PV, solar, thermal, the whole gamut of solutions. Wind was discussed as well back then. So there were efforts to, like many other states did, to set really firm goals. And these were done through what was known as renewable portfolio standards. You basically set some goal and you would shoot for that amount of energy, let's say for your electrical generation, would come from renewable sources. So The very first such goal was set in Hawaii in 2001 and was expanded in 2003. In 2004, there was a energy summit where a whole set of strategies were pursued, and it turned out to be a bipartisan effort. Clearly, the congressional delegation was solidly behind this. Governors of both parties were solidly behind this. By 2008, there was the first agreement with the Department of Energy, which was prepared to provide a lot of resources to support this. And in 2008, that energy agreement with the state and the Department of Energy was formed. And since that time, roughly $175 million has been spent through the Recovery Act and other programs towards that effort. And in that, after that, these renewable portfolio standards were actually passed into law by the legislature. In 2009, the RPS standard was set at 40%, and energy efficiency standard was set by law at roughly 30%, and transportation goals, 385 million gallons a year, were meant to be reduced from petroleum for transportation. Transportation's about 2/3 of our entire energy picture. A third of that, or half of that, ground transportation, half of that aviation, and then the other third is dedicated to power generation. So that was known as a program, the Clean Energy Initiative, and at that time there was also a group, a Clean Energy Initiative, formed to help support that. Out of that group and that program came the initial programmatic environmental impact statement process, and that was paid with Recovery Act funds. And I became administrator last year, and in reviewing it with our director, Richard Lim, it became quite clear to me, with things going on with trying to expand the scope of that programmatic, that it was clearly too limited. And that completely was consistent with the feedback from most of the communities in the scoping process. Having been a 3-term chair of the Sierra Club and defended Chapter 343, I also was extremely sensitive about the notion of doing any kind of environmental review, including a cultural review, the right way. And so it became clear that our only resource was either to halt the entire process or start it again, really do it with this broader framework. And that's what we chose to do. And in fact, that's what this process is. And Jane will continue to tell you the details of how that will be conducted, but that's how we got here.
Thank you. Okay, let's talk for a minute about the federal environmental review process. When a federal agency proposes to do an action, we are required by law to give it an environmental review first. The statute that governs environmental review for federal agencies is called the National Environmental Policy Act, or NEPA. This statute was passed a little over 40 years ago. The intent was to ensure that the federal decision-making process was always informed by environmental review before the decision was made. And at the time, that was a pretty revolutionary step for the federal government. The statute defines a process that requires public input. That was also a pretty new and different concept for the federal government. Another thing the statute defines is the role of a cooperating agency. This is important in the process we're involved in now because we have several cooperating agencies. The statute defines a cooperating agency as an agency that has either jurisdiction by law, and the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, which is represented tonight by Mark Eckenrode, is an agency which potentially has jurisdiction by law over certain of the activities we will be looking at. They are a cooperating agency. Something like, for instance, offshore wind, they would have jurisdiction by law over. The other basis to be a cooperating agency is special expertise. The state of Hawaii obviously has special expertise regarding the state of Hawaii's energy challenges, and they are also a cooperating agency in this process. In addition, since we began the scoping trip and these meetings, we have received acceptances from both the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Park Service to be cooperating agencies. We have invitations out to a number of other agencies. I haven't heard formally from most of them, although we have engaged in informal conversation and discussions about what their roles might be. I can't say anything about it until I have a formal acceptance or regret from them. I will say that when a federal agency is considering whether to accept this role, one of the things they have to look at is the resources it involves. When they accept to be a cooperating agency, they're making a commitment to be engaged, to be providing input, to review documents and materials, to support us at things like scoping meetings. And so there will be times when an agency will decline cooperating status, although they will stay involved to the extent that they can based on their resources. So I wanted you to know that just because an agency says no doesn't mean they don't care. It probably means they don't have the budget and staff resources to fulfill the obligation. Okay, another thing that statute defines and that the DOE implementing regulations enlarges on is this concept of a programmatic environmental impact statement. Now, a more common environmental impact statement looks at a concrete, specific project. If, for instance, we propose to build a building somewhere on federal land and use it for a certain purpose, we would do an environmental impact statement. And that would be the proposed action, and the alternatives might be looking at different architectural designs for that building, that type of thing. It's a very concrete, easy to grasp concept. A programmatic environmental impact statement is a more theoretical concept. In this process, you're looking at the potential impacts of very broad agency actions. Occasionally, multiple agencies are involved in this type of a thing. You're looking at something like a development of a policy or a program, or it can be a planning or feasibility process. The Hawaii Clean Energy Programmatic Environmental Impact Statement is a planning and feasibility type of process. We are not, beginning with the amended notice of intent that we published this in August last month, we are not looking at any specific project, and we are not looking at any specific location. We are not advocating any project or location. This is a broad review of almost a menu of all of the options that exist as potential contributors to solving Hawaii's energy challenges. In addition, the programmatic environmental impact statement review does not eliminate in any way the requirement for full environmental review of any project that might later be proposed. So no one can say, well, there was a PEIS, I don't need to do an EIS on this project that I am now proposing. This does not eliminate that. This provides an informational base that can be referenced, referred to, but doesn't eliminate anything. Both Don and Mark mentioned a little bit of the past history. Back in December of 2010, the Department of Energy in the state of Hawaii published a notice of intent to start the Hawaii Inter-Island Renewable Energy Program Environmental Impact Statement, WIND. And that program focused on wind, produced in the county of Maui, and transmitted by cable to Oahu. There were a series of scoping meetings held in Maui County and on Oahu in February of 2011. We received quite a few comments, both in the transcripts of the meetings and written comments and by other methods. The agencies sat down and evaluated those comments, and some very, very clear themes came through. There are a number of impact areas that are clearly of great concern, things like cultural and historical impacts, threatened and endangered species, water, soils and erosion, socioeconomics, things like that. But the two strongest, clearest themes that came through were, one, why only wind? There are so many other things we could be looking at. And two, why only 4 of the 6 islands in this state? So the two agencies got together and said, the whole point of scoping is to ask, are we looking at the right thing? And we've been given pretty clear input that the communities don't think we're looking at the right thing. So we drafted the amended notice of intent that we published in August, re-scoped it, and we are now looking at this much, much broader array of activities and technologies across all 6 islands in the state of Hawaii. So our new proposal is to develop guidance for the Department of Energy to use in the future when we make decisions on activities, on programs, on funding projects that could be addressing the energy challenges of the state of Hawaii. We want to be sure that we have this knowledge base of potential environmental impacts and of community input before the decisions are being made. The scope is much broader. We're looking at, I think it's 30-some activities and technologies. We're looking across all 6 of the major occupied islands in the state. We published our new notice of intent in August to start the environmental review. And another difference is we are not looking at any specific project, and we are not looking at any specific location. These are some of the impact resource areas and impact areas that we have identified, and in large part these came out of the scoping comments the last time around. We are asking for further input on additional areas of interest and concern, but it was very clear: cultural and historical resources, threatened and endangered species, water resources, socioeconomics, air quality, visual resources, and land use were of great concern to the communities that we heard from the last time. Another one we've heard a great deal on this trip, which certainly will be evaluated, is human health and safety. Okay, we've put these activities and technologies into 5 categories to make them easier to discuss: energy efficiency, distributed renewables, utility scale renewables, alternative transportation fuels and modes, and electrical transmission and distribution. The energy efficiency category refers to using less energy to perform the same activity. This could include such things as codes, building codes for new buildings, retrofit programs for existing buildings, energy conservation programs within a community, initiatives and programs like incentives or rebates for Energy Star appliances or installing PV panels on your home. And then technologies such as ground source heat pumps, seawater cooling, and solar water heating. Distributed renewables refers to small-scale systems that generate the energy near the point of use. So this would be your energy systems on your residential, your place of residence, your home, or a single business might have one wind turbine that would, say, run all the power requirements on a ranch, that type of thing. And we'll be looking at biomass, hydroelectric, hydrogen fuel cells, photovoltaic systems, and small wind systems. Utility scale renewables is the generation of large amounts of renewable electricity to be fed into the grid and moved out to supply multiple users. And here I need to apologize. We had a typographical error in the Federal Register notice. That was my fault. I did not catch it when we went through with the software and accepted edits. And what happened was the two topics there, biomass and geothermal, instead of being one below the other in a list, got put next to each other so that it looked as if we were looking at something called biomass geothermal, which, to my knowledge, there is no such thing, and we are not looking at it. We are evaluating biomass as a technology, hydroelectric, ocean energy, solar photovoltaic systems, wind, both land-based and offshore, geothermal as a separate technology, municipal solid waste, ocean thermal energy conversion, and solar thermal systems. In alternative transportation fuels and modes, these are technologies to minimize or replace petroleum-based fuels and, again, reduce the dependence on foreign oil. Biofuels, hybrid electric vehicles, liquefied natural gas as a fuel, electric vehicles, hydrogen, and mass transportation systems. Electrical transmission and distribution. If you don't have the grid infrastructure to take the energy that's being produced, it doesn't really help to produce the energy. So we will be looking at the on individual island transmission systems. We will be looking at the potential of undersea cable corridors and land-sea cable transition sites, but I must emphasize potential. We are not looking at any specific proposal to put in a cable. We will also be looking at technologies such as smart grid and energy storage that would apply to the transmission system. Our analytical approach will look at this range of environmental impacts, and when we say in NEPA speak environmental impacts, it always includes cultural and historical impacts and human health and safety, because our regulations define environment as being all-encompassing of human beings and all aspects of our existence. We're going to be looking at them on all 6 islands. What we will do is first of all describe the potential activities and technologies that we've listed in the last 5 slides, and any others that we might add as a result of these scoping comments. We will then describe the potential affected environment on an island-by-island basis. In order to analyze an impact, either a negative or positive impact, you need to understand the environment in which that activity or technology is being implemented, and therefore you can excuse me, identify how it could be impacting. So we would need to understand the soils of an area in order to analyze if there is the potential for an erosional impact. We need to know where the parks are or where the endangered species are in order to understand if there is a potential to impact that park or that species or a cultural site. Then we will identify these various impacts, both negative and positive. And then what we want to try to do is identify potential mitigation measures that could lessen or eliminate the impacts. Mitigation measures can be a different way to design a system so that when it's constructed, there is not an impact that you were concerned about. It can be changing the operation of a system, running it only at certain seasons or certain times of day, again, to mitigate some impact that has been identified as a potential. We're asking the communities to get involved. We're seeking input on all of these different aspects of this process that I've listed. Are there additional activities or technologies that you're aware of that we haven't identified that we should be looking at? Are there ones that you consider of greater importance or value to your community that you would like to see us emphasize? Do you have information about potential environmental, including cultural and socioeconomic impacts that you can share with us, a knowledge of location of endangered species, a knowledge of certain cultural areas of cultural significance, things of value to the community that we might not be aware of but could be impacted by one or more of these technologies. We would appreciate that information. And if you have any input onto the type of guidelines you'd like to see the Department of Energy develop and implement, we'd like to hear that also. How do I comment? Well, in the NEPA process, the Environmental Impact Statement process, there are 2 mandated periods for public input. The first initiates with a notice of intent and is called scoping. This notice of intent, as I said, was published August 10th, initiated our scoping period. We're having this series of scoping meetings. This scoping period will be open until the 9th of October. After we receive these comments, we will sit down and reevaluate what we have tentatively identified as the scope of our project. It's not set. I don't have a set cost schedule baseline. I don't have a set defined scope of work yet. It will not be final until we get all of our scoping comments and evaluate them. Because as you've seen already, the scope can change dramatically based on public input. Once we identify the scope based on the scoping comments, we will then do the analytical work. We will gather the information, do the impact analyses, and develop a draft document. We expect that draft document to be ready sometime mid to late 2013. That document will be published, made available to the public. Everyone who has signed up here tonight to be kept apprised of this process will receive an email or some kind of a notice that the document is available and how to access it. That notice of availability will initiate a public comment period on the draft. And what we will be asking you to do then, should you be so inclined, we hope you will, is to read that document and give us comments on the job that we did in describing the technologies, in describing the affected environment, in identifying potential impacts and potential mitigation measures. At the end of that comment period, we take all of the comments on the draft, and those comments and responses to all the issues raised by those comments will be put in what is called a comment response document that becomes part of the final programmatic environmental impact statement. We will also revise the draft programmatic environmental impact statement according to those comments to produce the final. At the end of that process, when that final is ready, it will be published again with a notice of availability that the document is now available in the public sector. And then no sooner than 30 days after that document is distributed, the Department of Energy may make its decision whether or not to move forward with developing and implementing this guidance. Now, it can take longer than 30 days, and because we're a big federal agency, it very frequently takes longer than 30 days. But we can't do it any sooner than 30 days after that final document is distributed publicly. During these 2 comment periods, we have a variety of ways for you to comment. We try to make this as convenient for all of people's different lives and preferences. You can send an email to this address. You can go to our website and click on one of the buttons and give a comment that way. You can send a fax. You can send a letter. You can make a comment at the meeting tonight, and there are a couple of ways you can do that. When you sign up, you can come up here and make a comment orally in front of the group after the break when the court reporter moves up, and she will transcribe all of those comments for the record. There are also comment forms if you prefer not to speak in front of the group and would like to write your comment. Please fill out a comment form and give it to Anne, who was at the sign-in table, and I think she's still sitting outside, but she will take the comment form and put it in an envelope, and it will come back to be on the record. Every form of commenting is equal. They are all taken equally seriously. They are all of equal value and equal influence in this process. After the draft is published, we will come back out and do another series of meetings in the communities, and we will have all of the same methods to comment on the draft document that we are using for the comments in the scoping period now. Next, we'll have the question and answer session, which, as Don pointed out, we added to the process. It's not common in the NEPA process, but there was so much concern in the scoping comments the last time that there was no ability to ask questions and engage, that we wanted to offer this opportunity. If you have any questions on this process or on the presentation, that's what we're going to be here to answer. We'll then take a short break, give the court reporter a chance to take a break and move up front, and then we will have the comments that are on the record for this evening. Mahalo.
And as the panel is stepping up to the table, if you have a comment, it would be really helpful. I'm going to ask you to come up to the mic and state excuse me, if you have a question, I'm going to ask you to come up to the mic and state your question so that everybody can hear. Now, please remember, your question is not part of the formal record. So if your question is really a comment, the panel will tell you that, and we would ask that you resubmit it during the comment period or put it in writing. I also want to emphasize, you can send in more than one comment. You can speak tonight, and you can still send in a written comment, whatever you feel is most comfortable and most appropriate. Perfect. Joe just informed me that the presentation slides that Jane spoke and Mark spoke about and the comment form is actually on the website. So if you want to, if someone wasn't able to come to tonight's meeting and want to know what happened, please have them download it, and they can be up to speed on what happened. So, and the posters that are behind on the wall are also on the website. So we have the first question. Mahalo.
Yeah. I'm glad that the state came over to clarify things what's happening in Molokai. When I received this letter from IAM, says here, attend the September 19 meeting, and 97%, 99% of the people of Molokai oppose the windmill. I think we are not there yet, the way I understand you guys, because this is a long process. But to receive this letter in the mail, I think most of you receive it, I think it's a little too early to do, to make an assessment for or against the windmill. That's the way I feel, and thank you very much for coming. Then my mind is more clear, so that the other people that I know will be, or will understand what is happening. I know for a fact, I'll let you guys know, especially the IAM, I get great respect to you guys. But to come up here And to say 97, 99% opposed to windmill, they don't even know whether they're going to get windmill in. This is only stirring trouble. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry if I had to offend some of you guys, but nevertheless, that's how I feel. So thank you for coming. By the way, my name is Juan Trinidad. I came here from the Philippines 66 years ago. Okay? That's how long I stayed in Molokai.
Uncle, that was, you might want to consider, if you can, put that in a comment too. You know, write it down if you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I will.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, the next question.
Yes, thanks again for coming. And I have a question. Ultimately, at the end of your process, I'm unclear as to how that will segue into what's being proposed and your relationship with state, local, individuals, and so on. I'm assuming that there is a sequence of activities or approvals that once the PEIS is completed, then that in fact will be given to anyone who proposes a project, be it wind, solar, geothermal, or whatever. Now, that's sort of a broad question. Is it possible for any project to proceed without the approval of the Department of Energy as a federal agency?
I think I'll take the second one first. No?
Yeah, and then I can...
Yeah. The Department of Energy only has authority over those projects we are involved in. So if we have published a request for proposals for a certain type of activity, we get a proposal to do a project in the state of Hawaii, and we have a decision to make on whether to fund or not fund. We have the authority to require the use of our guidance in making that decision, as an example. We do not have the authority to require other agencies or developers to use it. I would hope, however, that once we have gone through this process and we have had the involvement of a number of other federal agencies, in addition to the state of Hawaii and all of the community involvement, to put together a body of information that others will use it. I would hope, my personal dream is that communities use it as a way to help the community devise its own proposal for itself about what it thinks it should be doing regarding energy issues. Because it's not the role of the Department of Energy to tell the state or any community what you should be doing. We are trying to provide the best possible information base to help you make decisions for yourself.
So the way that I would hope the state will use this document, it's not binding. The National Environmental Policy Act does not, there's no provisions in Chapter 343 of our environmental review, environmental EIS, EA process that guides carefully how these two processes merge and how they work together. So in a sense, we're breaking new ground. What we're saying on the state level is that we're particularly on something that has a statewide impact, may go through federal waters, something that may ultimately involve federal funding, that when we're planning big projects or small projects, it really needs to, that we hope that the people that issue RFPs, utility companies, that the people that are planning their ESCOs, the energy service contractors doing performance contracting, that they consider measures and approaches that have been identified in this planning document, and that they don't really stray far from that in developing projects. Does that mean that everything, will there be some things that may be missed from this? It's possible. But even and I know most of you are very familiar watching this 200 megawatt intermittent power proposal that HECO is developing, which could involve, it's a very complicated RFP, as for those of you who've been watching. But my estimation of time frame, given when we're starting this, is that it could very well be that this process can be entirely finished before a contractor has been selected and a contract is signed. So therefore, they will have this document to guide how they proceed with the project. Unfortunately, it's not going to be done in time to inform the development of the RFP. So that it gives you a sense of timing. The RFP that I'm referring to is this. There is currently on the table a request for proposal for 200 megawatts of intermittent power.
Next question.
Yes, I was a little confused because one of your earliest slides, Jane, when you were referred to the HCEI as being 70% clean energy. Then later when Mark was talking, it did come out, because my understanding is to be 70% less dependent on imported fuels or fossil fuels, including the 30% conservation. So it's a little bit of a
All right, I'm going to let Mark answer that, because if I have made a mistake in expressing the state of Hawaii's goals, I apologize, but these are the state of Hawaii's goals.
Yeah, the 70% clean energy, and it's, frankly, it's a term of art, because really it involves renewable portfolio standard, 40% of power generation coming from renewable sources. The energy efficiency portfolio standard is a certain amount of gigawatt hours. It's roughly 30% a reduction in through efficiency measures in power generation, and then this really ambitious goal of which is essentially 70% of all of our petroleum use for transportation, and that's about 385 million gallons. So when people talk about the 70% clean energy, they're basically talking about those three things.
Okay, I have the next question.
Aloha, kia ora. Not enough cord. I have to come closer. In best respect to the late Honorable Senator Edward Kennedy, who saw a leader as he was, and I'm not sure if you're from Washington, but I'm just wondering about your moral fortitude when we're $15 trillion in debt and China's pulling the bonds. I don't know where you've been. You're watching the football games or what you're doing, but you need to wake up. This country is in such a financial situation. This boondoggle and putting us more in debt. Now, I'm at South Point at the Big Island, and there's 2/3 of those windmills, 40,000 in the United States, and they're sitting inoperable, they're not moving, they're neglected. There are actual holes in the fans. Fans are off, 2/3 of them in South Point. This is a boondoggle. Now, I don't know where you're from, but you give me the impression that you're some Yankee Doodle New York something, or Washington corruption, and I don't like it. And you're newcomers, Johnny-come-latelys, and you're coming to these islands, and I'm telling you, this boondoggle, nobody wants it here. Only the sellouts, and those are things. I want to know your moral fortitude, how you can come here and put the government in bondage, and none of the people want it. I don't know where you're from. You got your sandals and this and that. Where's your moral fortitude ethically, fiscally, financially? You are corrupt, bankrupt, morally bankrupt, and you get out of here.
Okay, you after her, okay?
Aloha. My question is that, well, it's the statement first, then I'll ask the question. My experience working with federal agencies are, in this situation, is sort of backwards in our community, because we heard the state and we heard their process. And how it works in the federal level is that the federal kind of set the guidelines and maybe some requirements Then the state comes in, and the state has to somewhat decide what their operational procedures will be. But within their procedures, they have to comply with the federal government's process or restriction or requirements. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that in your presentation, you've indicated that we're just looking at all the different possibilities for clean air, but the part that you left out was the sustainability of the community, because you cannot go with clean energy without sustainability. They work hand in hand. And this, I feel there's a back door to the outside possibilities and not within the community possibilities. There's a federal law that the community, you gotta have community, and I'm glad you indicate that in the process the community is involved. Absolutely, because the community as a whole can dictate what kind of system they want. So when you come and you ask, like, being humble to the community, in a sense, you're already setting up infrastructure to allow the state to somewhat piggyback. Miss, you indicated in your statement, you said the outside contractors may make reference to the government referral or report. That's an open door to allow them to say, yes, because the federal said, if this is what we follow, we can do it. And that is such a setup for our community, not only a setup, but, okay, the question is, I'll save my comment. The question is, in this whole system that you want to go out in our community, where is the sustainability part?
Well, you're right, it's not in the presentation, but we have gotten input on every island we've been to so far, and at every meeting, that sustainability is an issue that people are very concerned about, and we will be adding it to the scope that we're looking at.
One question now. Question, not comment.
No, what I left out is not community elsewhere off island. It was the sustainability for Molokai.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, based on that, let me expand on what I said. Every island we have been to so far has raised the issue of island self-sustainability. I'm sorry, I was not exact enough. It is clearly an issue of great importance to all the islands, and we will be looking at it.
What you said earlier, that these people should state their name. Some haven't.
And Uncle, you know why? Because this part is the question.
Yeah.
So when we come up and we do the actual comment, we'll want you to state your name. But this is not part of the formal record.
Okay.
So that's fine.
Okay. Some of them, I have a lot of concerns. But first,
You have a question?
yes, I have a lot of questions. And in your presentation, you did not mention about the burning of fossil fuel that produces CO2 in the air and how you're going to compensate and fight this. And one way of doing it is to plant trees. Okay? If you know the CO2 that comes out of a 54 gallon fuel, then you ought to know how many trees you have to plant so that you can absorb the CO2 in there. You didn't mention anything on that regard. Another thing also is that I don't know you, you don't know me, so there's no reason why we should be angry at each other. But some of the comments I would like to make.
will directly affect all of you. Number one, you didn't have an agenda to give out to the people so that none of them was on the same page. And many of them sit down and wondering what's going on. And fear has been a problem with a lot of people in making decisions. Number two, you did not talk about employment training. All this renewable energy will require training. And how the different organizations on Molokai, on the state level and the private level, how are they going to help them? I'll give you a good example. In 1975, when Pineapple left Molokai, the federal government had CETA, Comprehensive Employment Training Act, that provided employment training. The state came up with SCIP, State Comprehensive Employment. Alolike came up. No, I'm very serious. Alolike, well, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. All right. If you didn't want this to come about, when we signed up, you should have the paper that tells us, for example, who is the next speaker.
And Uncle, you are absolutely correct. We probably weren't very clear about this. And Uncle is right. You know, I talked about the comment and we're going to call you by a list. And this portion was supposed to be questions, because what you're asking, these are excellent comments. These are the things that they should be considering as they're preparing the programmatic EI. And so that is my mistake. I should have been a lot clearer.
That's okay. Everybody makes mistakes. The PUC, the Public Utilities Commission, says that alternate energy is 18%, not more than 18%. The question is what is it today?
I'm sorry to hear what today is 18?
The Public Utilities Commission says that in alternate energy, at least for Molokai, back then when I was involved in energy, was 18%. What is it today? I think what, yeah, go ahead.
Well, overall, the statewide average right now is approaching 13%.
How much?
13% statewide. Molokai is a little higher, and the Big Island is approaching 50%, and at times it's a little bit higher on peak during peak cycles.
Okay.
Question or comment? Question.
No, question. In regards to, oh, by the way, have any of you people met Elmer Carvalho? If you haven't, go and meet that man, because there's something he can tell you. Okay? So the question is, do you know what the three formulas that he uses to make things happen? Okay, one is OPM, other people's money. Two is OPT, other people's talent. For example, you people are here to do this study. You could have gotten to the Marine Option Program in Honolulu and have those guys come to Molokai and do the study for you. And then a third is other people's talent, and the third is give them a proposal they cannot refuse. How does that work? Do you know that work? That's a question.
That's a good comment. You know, and I'm just going to step in right now because Uncle's got some wonderful comments that we should be considering. I just want to be really clear, remind everybody, this question portion is not part of the formal scoping. So Uncle, the comments that you're making now are not going to be part of the record. So I need you to make sure you make it part of the record. So when the court reporter is here, she takes down everything that you say because you've got good things to say. Because the other thing I want to remind everybody is, I know you guys all got to work tomorrow. Many of you got to work tomorrow. So I did want to make sure this question portion was really in response to the comments we had the last time. But this is not the main portion of the meeting. The real crux of the meeting is your comments that are going to be on the record. So that's going to be right after this last question, Uncle. Right after this last question.
And Don, could you just briefly, just so everyone knows, we probably have over 100 people here tonight, and I don't know how many people are signing up, but if you're, I think the process is roughly 3 minutes. So if you start doing the math, if that's the important part, we want to answer whatever questions you have, but it's a large crowd, and I want to make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get on the record.
So I'm going to ask you, if you have a question, well, if you want to ask something now, make sure it's a question. If not, if it's a comment, if you can hold it for them.
You should ask how many people want to ask questions, and you can gauge them and ask a question.
Yeah. So
how many more would like to ask questions?
Good question. How many do we have? Are there 3 of you?
Who would like to ask questions? Either raise your hands or stand in line.
Okay, because what we've done in other communities, other public meetings, is because the most important portion of the meeting are your comments that the court reporter is going to take. I'm going to ask your permission, but at 7 o'clock we're going to end this question portion, so that we've got a good 2 hours to take all of your comments. So I would ask that everybody's respectful. If you've got a question, keep it short and make sure it's a question, because you're going to cut into the comment time. So if you've got a question, come up, but if there is time after we've taken everybody's comment, then you can come back up and ask a question, or you can approach one of these guys afterwards. But at 7 o'clock, we're going to stop the questions and go into the comment. So, question?
It seems to me that this whole process is going to take a lot of taxpayer dollars. It's a long process. You're putting out a huge document, and it feels essentially, when I think about it, that you're only hoping that the contractors or people who address our energy needs will look at your document and take it into account. But it's only, quote unquote, a hope. My question is, how do you feel about the fact that your document is not really going to have any teeth to it? And how do you make any contractor comply with what you put down in your document?
As far as the Department of Energy goes, if we do decide to develop this guidance and implement it, it will have teeth for such things as awarding grants or funding, and that tends to influence people who want money from us. That is, however, the main way that the Department of Energy does things. My hope is that others outside the department would also use it. But this is a process to develop a tool for the department itself to use.
Does it include subsidies?
Subsidies, like tax credits.
Tax subsidies.
Would
Not
tax credits?
Free government money.
Well, okay, and I'm sure you, subsidies, not tax credits, but it would include if one of the offices involved in this were putting together a program of, say, incentives for people to buy energy efficient appliances. And I don't know if you would call that a subsidy or not, but a decision on whether or not to invest funds in a program like that would use could use this type of guidance if we develop it.
Okay, the next question.
I got 2 questions actually. The first one's this is about getting us off of petroleum reliance, right? About getting us to use less petroleum. Okay, so the second question is, what's being done about the pesticides, fertilizers, insecticides, whatever, all that stuff that's being put into our soil, all the food that comes here wrapped in plastic, like the bottles you brought us and the cookies. What's being done about that? Like, is there anything done, or is it just about energy?
You know, for example, if pesticides are being used for ag development for biofuels, for example, then that will, you know, please bring, that's the type of information that we're looking for, precisely that. So that's a good example of something that would have an impact that would be directly attributable to this process.
Okay.
But in the broader sense, if the concern is the general issue of too much, for example, pesticides in the Mississippi River Valley that is flowing down the Mississippi and into the Gulf of Mexico and causing havoc in the ecosystems there, that is not within the purview of the Department of Energy. There's really not something we can do about that.
Thank you for coming and listening to all of our complaints and comments and questions. Please understand that we as a people, especially here on Molokai, feel that our words fall on deaf ears, or we receive a lot of empty promises. So when we go back to the fact that we hear you say you hope that they follow your guidelines that you plan on putting in place in this new document. My question would be, and you've already heard the phrase no teeth, what can you do to implement it as a law? If you take all this time and discernment and research to do this document, to try to make sure that the environment is safe, can you not turn it into law? I mean, do you not work for the United States government?
I work for the executive branch of the government. The Department of Energy is one of the cabinet offices under the president. Our job is to serve the citizens of the United States and the laws that are passed by Congress. No, the executive branch does not have the power to pass the laws of the nation, nor does the federal government have the power to pass laws within the state of Hawaii. The real power there lies in the citizens who vote, legislators and senators, both at a state level and at a national level.
Well, I understand that you don't have the power to pass the law per se, but if you bring it to the president's attention that a law does need to take place, especially in an instance where we're told that we're heard, and yet we get the windmill research done instead of all the other research. Okay? When it comes to situations like this, I'm asking you to bring this to whoever it is you need to bring it to in the United States government and say we need laws to help protect the little people that have a voice that is considered noise. Can you do that?
The one thing that I have learned as well, and from the state side, is that we certainly, you know, this can inform passage of laws at the state level, but the hardest part is basically at my level and other people that are implementing these programs. We actually have to do a lot of things that are more management related than law related, and frankly, it's really kind of a matter of how effective we are at understanding this, synthesizing this information, and turning it into the right practice. So a lot of our staff will be working on advising on RFPs that are under development, and it's really up to us to ensure that these things, no law will guarantee that will actually be done effectively. Although if it can be built into a law and it's appropriate to do so, we can propose that. But I think, and there's no way I'm going to stand before you and say, trust me. But what you'll do is you'll actually evaluate us on what we do now. And I know you've had a lot of bad success in watching people do things. But it kind of reminds me when I was at the Office of Wine Affairs, before we reformed this program that's now called the Malama Loan Program, OHA Malama Loan, we had people that told us we didn't really want to make loans. And all I could say is that we're working on it. We're really working on it. Check back in a year. And a year later, we had a program that went from making very few loans to making over $10 million of loans in the first year after it was reformed. So you just have to you observe what we do, and hopefully we'll do it better than my predecessors.
Okay. Colette's going to ask the last question so that we can go into the comment. All right, Colette?
Maybe this is to, what I'm trying to understand is a pattern, what is their name? Pattern what? Okay, they have a direct interest to this island, and Murdoch got on Lanai. So they're going to come in, they're going to give comments, they're going to compete with the community and their interests. Is that correct? They're going to come in because they have a direct interest for the, what you call that, no, I think they qualify for number 4 and 5, which is the undersea cable and to transfer the energy to another area. We have to compete with them because they're going to come in and convince you that their package is the best. Is this the process? This is what you're allowing for the scoping?
Okay, no. In scoping, anybody or entity does have the right to make a comment. Absolutely. We have to consider all of them. But look, my job is to be an unbiased proponent of the process. And I am committed and have been committed for the last 12 years to ensuring that any NEPA process that I am in charge of is implemented in a fair and open and transparent manner, and that to the best of my ability, the concerns of the community are represented. I am not going to then make a decision, and we are not going to come out with a recommendation of you should do this. That's not our role.
Okay, all of that pass-through is you cannot prohibit them from responding to your scoping and all of the
I cannot
that's all I like
anybody from participating.
That is our competition, that they have open access equal to any one of us, and I am, to make this position known as to what we feel is important to Molokai. They're going to be doing that and tell them what they feel is important to our island, as they will tell Murdoch on Lanai, or Murdoch will tell them what is important for the people of Lanai. And that is important for you to know, because that's what government does. It provides what we call fair process for everybody, even if you have a special interest. Okay, so just remember when you make your comments that this may be an unfair, because who are we? We rely on volunteers, and we rely on individuals that can commit. I know we have a representative from Native Hawaiian Legal Corporation. Marla, are you here? Huh? Marla, wait, just stand up. Charla. Okay. You know, and we only have to October 9th to make those comments, and you can be assured that Pattern is already working on what they feel is important to our island. They cannot prohibit that. That's the answer I wanted.
Thank you, Colette. Colette is right that everybody has an opportunity to comment. So your comments are going to be really important. As we said on all of the other public meetings, this is not a project specific, but I understand the concern. So with that being said, I'm really sorry, but we're going to, you know what, if we can, I want to make sure the comments are taken. So if after the comments are all POW, then we're going to take some questions, if that's okay, because this is a real important part. So I apologize if I'm cutting anybody short here. These guys are going to be here, and you can ask their questions, but I want to make sure we get the comments. So I'm going to ask the court reporter to come up front. Real fast. standing.
Yeah, you told me.
Oh, yeah, I know. I did tell him, so one question only. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I thought it was 3 minutes.
No, that's the comment. This is one question.
My question is, for the Hawaiian people on this island that was living here for generations, how are you going to put back our beauty once those windmills is up? Because we live in cultural beauty of the land, beauty of the wind blowing in our faces. And my question is, why doesn't any Hawaiians up there? And the beauty of the land links to the wind. Once we lose the beauty, you're taking everything from us already. We're just like Indians. We need sovereign nation too.
All right. All right. So the court reporter is coming up. We have been doing this, I call it kind of comment protocols. The court reporter can only take one person speaking at a time. So we're going to ask you to make, when you come up here, state your name, and if you could spell it so that she accurately gets, she can record the person that's speaking. It is really helpful for the court reporter to see you as you speak. So please come up front here. If you have a written statement, you can leave that here as well. There's a lot of people who want to comment. I have, let's see. I got 68 people who have signed up. So with the 68 people, okay. Okay, well, I'm going to call them by name. Yeah. Oh, yeah, no, they are. They're going to have their own microphone. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, they're going to leave. They're going to, right. So we're going to give you 3 minutes to speak. One, we're going to ask you, there will be Greg who will be sitting here with a sign that says you've got 1 minute left. I'm going to be very courteous and respectful. I hope you bear with me. I'm going to stand up next to you, which is going to be a signal that you have to wrap it up. We've got plenty of people who want to speak, and I would ask you, I really would plead with all of you, because obviously all of you have something important to say, that you keep to the 3 minutes. I am going to call you in the order upon which you have signed up. Oh, there was a sign-up sheet outside. So that's okay. You can go outside there and still sign up. So if you haven't signed up, you can go outside and sign up. What I do, if you go, okay, I will call out 3 names. Those are going to be the next 3 people who will come up first.
Yeah, right here is the best place.
Okay, so the first person is Arleon, then Greg Kahn, and then Terry Juarez. So those are the first 3. Okay? So I'm going to ask you, when I've called your name, to please come up because you're going to be the next to speak. So Arleon, 3 minutes, everyone. Thank you. Oh, she's not in the record yet. We're going to take 1 minute.
For some reason, she wants to know.
Oh, you want? Okay. No, but where do you want them?
My name is Colette Michelle,
Yeah, okay.
and I know my community. Setting them up here in the middle is very inconvenient. Put them on the side, they can line up, and go one after another.
Okay.
They're not here on display. You want their record, you put them on the side. Let them feel comfortable. You make the adjustment.
Okay. Are you okay? Okay. Let's put the podium right here then. The podium. Yeah. Okay. Okay. And we really appreciate everybody's patience. One, we want to be very respectful to the community, but we need to make sure the court reporter can take down every comment. So let us make our adjustments. Okay, we hope you all feel comfortable here. Is that okay? Okay. State your name, and if you can spell it.
Aloha mai. My name is Arleone Dibben Young, A-R-L-E-O-N-E. Last name is two-part name, D-I-B-B-E-N-Y-O-U-N-G. I'm here tonight regarding mitigation for avian bird strikes. I'm the owner of Ahupua'a Natives, which is a company that conducts coastal dune and wetland restoration and provides habitat for land owners as well. I also do contracts that are state, federal, and county. In conjunction with those services, I monitor populations of the endangered Hawaiian coot and Hawaiian stilt and migratory waterfowl and shorebirds on the island. I utilize bird banding to collect data on population genetics, reproductive success, life history and longevity, survival from avian botulism, and to document waterbird movements to determine the connectivity of the island's waterbird habitats. I've been tracking waterbird movements on Molokai for 15 years. My database includes 9,000 observations of banded Hawaiian stilts and Hawaiian coots, and it includes observations of over 110,000 unbanded birds. So I am presenting data tonight regarding mitigation for bird strikes. On Molokai, waterbirds regularly traverse the west end of the island between inland man-made impoundments such as reservoirs, wastewater ponds, and coastal areas. The east to west movements of the Hawaiian stilt was first documented in 1969, flying over Mount Mauna Loa. Since then, hundreds of observations have been made of this and other species that frequently move between Mauna Loa and Kaluakoi. The proposed location of the turbine industry on the west end of the island bisects these flyways. Because these species are known to travel through this area, I request that mitigation for bird losses be increased from what is currently in place on other islands, and that it is clearly defined in the EIS. I also ask that all mitigation be completed prior to any construction, based on the fact that a Maui turbine company has not only failed to conduct their required seabird mitigation for phase 1, but they completed phase 2 with no mitigation for seabird loss as yet in place. 4 of the 5 endangered endemic Hawaiian waterbird species have been documented moving through the proposed turbine sites on Molokai: the Hawaiian coot, Hawaiian stilt, Hawaiian duck, and Hawaiian goose. The bird moving through that area is also the official bird of the island, the bristlethied curlew, the kiawea. I want to thank everybody that over the years has reported bird observations to me. Data is very, very important to track our water birds. Thank you all for responding to my flyers in town, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you, Arleone. If you want to submit your comments, you can. The next is Greg Kahn, Terry Juarez, and then Fred Bicoy.
Aloha, my name is Greg Kahn, G-R-E-G-K-A-H-N. I live in Puko'o, Mana'i side. As a community, we have really come to learn much about the big wind and undersea cable projects over the last several years. We have learned that the 90 wind turbines will be built on 11,000 acres on Molokai. Each 435-foot turbine will be taller than the tallest building in Oahu, taller than the tallest building in 41 of the 50 United States. We have learned that they will decimate bird populations, they will cut off access to hunting grounds, they will destroy native plant species. We have learned that big wind will generate huge amounts of erosion and dust, require building hundreds of miles of access roads to service the turbines, and construct a deep water port to ship in materials and equipment. We have learned that cultural sites will be destroyed, property values will decrease, electric bills will increase. We have learned that the high voltage cable will require dynamiting our reef, the most pristine and intact reef north of Australia. We have learned that the cable will cut off fishing access, penetrate the humpback whale sanctuary, and necessitate the construction of scores of converter stations, switching stations, and high voltage power lines in an extremely high-risk fire zone. And we have learned that the $1.2 billion cost of this cable will be shouldered by the ratepayers, with none of the electricity provided for Molokai. These cumulative impacts of industrial wind factories and the sea cable do not reflect our community's position on development, and they are inconsistent with our views on land and ocean stewardship. These proposals will cause demonstrable adverse effects which will run contrary to the wishes of our residents, thus circumventing the democratic will of this community. We believe the Department of Energy should give due consideration not only to our reasons, but also to our recommendations. Our stance is clear, our stance is unambiguous. Our recommendations are based on clear and direct language. We say no to big wind because we say yes to small-scale community-based renewable energy. We say no to the undersea cable because we say yes to decentralized energy generation on Molokai, for Molokai. And we say no to the industrialization of this island because we say yes to protecting a place that others wish to destroy.
Thank you very much. Terry? After Terry is Fred Becoy and then Paul Mullen.
My name is Terry, T-E-R-I-W-A-R-O-S is my last name. I was glad to notice on your presentation that the PEIS does include socioeconomic impacts. I will submit written testimony later tonight. I just want to concentrate on that it's very important that any project in the state of Hawaii has an economic impact study. And this needs to be done by objective third parties, not people paid by the companies who are standing to profit off of our losses. We need to take into accounting all of the collateral damages that include non-renewable resources such as our land, particularly in an island state when we have limited land and we need to think about farming and food for our nation. Cultural sites, endangered species, health and lifestyles of the communities, etc. I had an expert, I've had more than one expert from the energy industry tell me that this project, referring to the cable inter-island, does not pencil out. I want to see in the PEIS the economics of this program and what makes it sustainable or who profits from it, and is it the right investment for us, and what would be the difference between doing these large-scale inter-island cable, huge wind turbines, projects, geothermal on the Big Island that has huge footprints, that benefits Hawaiian Electric, versus decentralizing our generation to enable us to reach 30% conservation. If we encourage folks to produce their own energy, they would be much more likely to conserve it. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Fred Becoy, Paul Mullen, and then Miss Swingle.
My name is Fred Becoy, and I'm not a publicity seeker. There's an advantage of being old. You're able to know and witness what works and what doesn't. Okay? This new renewable energy that you guys are talking about, we had Hannah Davis in 1966 put up a windmill at her house. For 6 months, she was making money and going back to the grid. After 6 months, the Momomi salt water came over, and the windmill kaput. So they tell us we have better technology today. Photovoltaic, Mr. Wibke was recommended way back then in the early 70s. Put a photovoltaic. When his house was completed, $250,000, and today photovoltaic is still expensive. So the question is, cost effectiveness is important. For these people back here, I would strongly recommend in your environmental impact statement that you take into consideration basically what the people are saying. On Molokai, they want Molokai to solve the problem and Molokai to help each other. I'll give you an example. A lady came through friendly market. She didn't have enough money to purchase her food. The lady who is the cashier said, "That's okay, Auntie." And so she paid for it. No other place can be like this. And we don't want to lose this. And we're going to lose it when we get all these big ideas come here in Molokai. Way back in 1975, the governor picked people to sit on a committee because Pineapple was going to leave. And I happened to be one of those. And I was on that committee for over 20, 25 years. I also was the chairman of the Energy Committee and the Commerce and Industry Committee. And we find that there are many things that are happening today that were talked about many years ago. And the basic premises is that things got to be cost effective. And so far, not. So in your recommendation, please say that on Molokai, we don't want windmills and all those things that will hamper our lifestyle.
Paul Mullen, Ms. Swingle, and John Warden.
My name is Paul Mullen. That's Paul, P-A-U-L, Mullen, M-U-L-L-I-N. I'm a recent arrival to Molokai 13 years ago. Thanks, Judy. That helps. 13 years ago, we came here, and this is our only home. It's the place that we want to live and die, and so we hope that you'll hear our comments. Nobody's said it so far yet this evening, but all these folks with the nice white little badges on their chests, they're from the government, and they're here to help us, right? Okay. Well, considering that, my recommendation as far as the environmental impact statement is concerned is that anything that gets any sort of recommendation or support from the government needs to be sustainable in the context of no government subsidies. We would not be having these discussions tonight if there weren't a lot of free federal money floating around that a lot of rich people are trying to use to get richer. So whether it's the Department of Energy's purview or whether it's the taxing power of Congress or one thing or another, this discussion is going on because of the federal government's intervention in Molokai's lifestyle. So I just would like to see that any proposal that gets made for alternate energy, whether it's on Molokai or Hawaii in general, be sustainable without federal subsidies. When the federal money goes away and the windmills rot over there on the hills, where's the money going to be to take the goddamn things down?
Thank you. Hey, Ms. Swingle, what is your first name? Artie, I couldn't see. Then it's after that is John Mullen and Joyce Kainoa.
Artis, A-R-T-I-C-E, Swingle, S-W-I-N-G-L-E. My question is, does private development of energy sources fall outside the tiering process that will be incorporated into the state's energy plan? As the answer appears to be yes, what are some of the implications? Molokai has personally witnessed the ravaging of non-renewable resources by private landowners and others. Our sands form the beach at Waikiki, our rocks form the breakwater on Lanai, and every day we witness our topsoil being blown into the ocean, contaminated with pesticides and herbicides, which affect the health of our reef and our people. Our reef and our soil are non-renewable resources. Nor should our people have industrially induced asthma as a result of contaminated dust, chemical spraying, or exposure to pollen from genetically modified crops not destined for human consumption. I am not alone in witnessing the sale of land on Maui to a private investor. I have seen, as others have, the devastation and desecration of lands cared for by families who have cared for ancestral remains. They stood by helplessly as the caves that they had tended were destroyed, even while there was a company-employed quote-unquote archaeologist on site. Pattern Energy appears to be proceeding with their plans using privately owned ranch lands despite the probable loss of the aquifer, which lies 40 to 50 feet under the ground and is in fragile, honeycombed basaltic soil. What, are they outside of the state's tiering process? What about the loss of health and property value to residents living near these energy facilities? What about the statement that the state would probably be willing to purchase the energy that was privately generated, as they no doubt will do so on Maui? And where will the cable for the transmission of the energy come ashore? What will be the effects? Will there be a depletion or destruction of our non-renewable resources? What about our endangered plants and animals? We know Governor Abercrombie's position on signing on with 22 other state governors in committing to put renewable energy facilities in place, possibly unhindered if they do so under the Rural Electrification Act. We were aware when the governor signed an action giving him environmental domain over public lands when a flock of birds crossed a runway in Oahu. And we are well aware of Act 55 and the government's implementation of the quasi-governmental agency Public Land Development Corporation, which seeks to develop ceded lands into money-generating projects. And while the government was created to act on behalf of the people and to protect the general welfare, we see that our rights under the Constitution have been and are being sold to the highest bidder. The depletion and destruction of our non-renewable resources has been put on the table for the highest bidder based on greed and their short-term profit for our long-term loss. The tiering process of the state's environmental impact statement must exclude the development of energy-producing facilities, cables, or structures which deplete or destroy the state's natural, non-renewable resources of ocean, land, animals, and plants.
Your time's up.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. You can always leave your statement.
I'm leaving it.
Okay. Thank you. I really appreciate everybody cooperating. And I appreciate all of you taking the time to write it out. The next is John Warden, and then Auntie Joyce Kainoa, and then Kamaha'o Kaho'ohalahala.
My name is John Worden, John Wordin. I'll be brief. I'm concerned about the end of life if large windmills are implemented. What contractual language and how much money is needed to completely, that is, including the foundation, to remove the wind turbines at the end of life? We have been to South Point on Big Island. We have seen the dead wind turbines there. We have seen the broken blades and the rusting masts. This situation will not be allowed to occur on Molokai. We suggest a bond fund be established at the beginning of the project of $100 million to deal with end-of-life removal of any of these kinds of big wind turbines. In addition, a maintenance fund needs to be established to deal with broken blades, fires, and other such adversities. I'm concerned about criteria for selection. How will criteria be composed to be used for the selection process? Who will draft these criteria? It is suggested that the following subjects must be addressed, but not limited to, as part of the criteria definition: technical feasibility, cultural aspects, social aspects, civil aspects, spiritual aspects, political, and finally financial. Another concern is energy conservation on Oahu. We have been stated here in the presentation that 30% will be energy conservation and 40% will be renewable energy. It has been proposed that that goal, that Oahu reduce its energy consumption by 30% by 2030. The demand is made that 80% of the circuits on Oahu be fully saturated with the 15% of PV or other similar alternate energy solutions before construction starts on any big wind project on Molokai or any of the other islands. It is suggested that the goal of 30% energy reduction be reached before any undersea cable is installed between islands and/or any large wind turbines are installed on Molokai. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Auntie Joyce Kainoa, Kamahao Kaho'ohalahala, and then Donna Stokes.
I spell my name, Joyce Kainoa. I didn't write my comments, so I'm going to be looking at another alternative, and that is hydroelectric. I live on the North Shores of Molokai, and my sustained lifestyle is Molokai. I live off the ocean, and I live on the land. One of the things I want to mention is that a long time ago, I was at a meeting dealing with the Molokai irrigation system. So I'm going to make it short. I want the Department of Energy to consider a feasibility study to look into alternative in hydroelectric. Take the Molokai irrigation system, the tunnel itself, 5 miles long, seal one side to the Kanakakai side, and develop all the mechanical structures on this side to produce electricity for a whole island of Molokai. Free, no charge. And I don't know if that can happen, but I believe in miracles that it does happen. And to see all of that, the windmills failed on Molokai. Biomass failed on Molokai. A lot of hotels failed on Molokai. Everything that's come to Molokai has failed. So I can at least say that we're still safe for a little while. I recommend that the Department of Education and the state of Hawaii, Department of Energy, I think it was, or that brother that was commenting here, you should at least go look at the history of Molokai. Look at all the things that has happened to this island, and the mana of this island is spiritual. And you come into this place and you do any kind, you're not going to live here long. You're going to pack up your bags and leave. Mahalo.
Mahalo, Auntie Joyce. Okay. Kamahao, Donna, and Lance. Oh, you were going to stand him up? Can you hold that, babe? You state your name. Okay.
What is your name?
Okay,
Okay, let me block. What is your name?
Kamahao.
His name is Kamahao. Kamahao. Kaho'o halahala. Kahoo. Halahala. I was just going to ask him some questions and he went and answer them. Kamahao. Hey, look at me. What do you think about the wind farm on Lanai?
They're bad.
Why are they bad?
They could kill the one birds.
What else? No, look at nobody. Just look at Daddy.
And the whales. And the turtles. And the sharks.
How will the windmills kill all these things?
With the dead and the blades.
What can we do instead of windmills?
We could set up solar panels.
How do we use the land and the ocean?
Go hunting, and we could go fishing and go diving.
Come on.
Only windmills.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kamahao. You did a good job. You did a good job. Okay, next is Donna Stokes, Lance Anderson, and Myron Akutagawa.
Aloha Molokai. My name is Donna Stokes, D-O-N-N-A-S-T-O-K-E-S. I attended the Oahu, Kauai, Lanai, and now the Molokai PEIS. I mentioned how the windmill and cable project would irreversibly impact our well-being, our culture, and our aina. So now I'm going to ask you to consider these other things because I'm not going to say the same testimony that you already know. Why do you, the federal government, come to Hawaii and even consider implementing something bad and unwanted where you came from? Think about it. We all know that rural communities in the continental United States hate their windmills because it ruins their lifestyle and geography, and it even causes health problems. When you go somewhere to implement a program, you're supposed to bring something good to the table and leave the bad behind. Doesn't that make sense? There's another point I'd like to make, transportation. 70% of our fossil fuel dependence in Hawaii is from transportation. So what is being done so that all of us can afford hybrid or solar vehicles? Or even what is being done so that a lot of the electric cars can be converted to solar? Instead of wasting the money on the unproven cable/windmill project that doesn't even curb our biggest use of fossil fuel, use the money and make these things affordable to us. Another important point. Why are you going to start off with this huge billion-dollar project, the undersea cable and windmills, when you haven't even attempted the smaller things? Most of us have large families. I live in a household of 7. Electric water heaters make up 30% of our electric bills. Every home in Hawaii should have at least a solar water heater. Figure that out. That would cut 30% of our electricity use. And it's a low tech that has been proven. Make these available to all of our homes instead of wasting the money on the cable that we don't want. And speaking of things that we don't want, this undersea cable is like the super ferry or the rail. It wasn't thought out very well, and lots of money is already being wasted on it. 250 people lost their jobs because they didn't listen to the communities about what would make sense. You only went along with what Oahu wanted without consulting the outer islands. The undersea cable and the windmills are something that our Lanai and Molokai community don't want. It won't work, and billions of dollars will be lost and wasted on this project. Sure, I will. So if you want to bring something to our communities, bring the good to the community, and please leave the bad behind. Seriously.
I have Lance Anderson, Myron, and then Inua Mavai.
Aloha. My name is Lance Anderson, L-A-N-C-E-A-N-D-E-R-S-O-N, and I am from Lanai. I came here today. I've made some new friends, and I'm happy about that. The fact is that we shouldn't have to be here. On Lanai, our small island has been victimized by a single tyrannical landowner for several decades. Now we have a new landowner. We're not yet comfortable with his intentions, though. This process has pitted us all against each other, island against island. On Lanai, it's pitted neighbor against neighbor and brother against brother. The bullying and intimidation by Castle and Cook and the ILWU have forced many who oppose the project to post signs in their yards and keep their mouths shut. Now that their jobs are no longer directly threatened by Castle and Cook, their true feelings have become crystal clear. We had this same meeting on Lanai yesterday, and every single person who testified in opposition to the Big Wind project on Lanai and Molokai and the cable. We have open space on Lanai. The wind blows on Lanai. It blows on Molokai too, but it also blows on Oahu. There's plenty of open land on Oahu, no cable necessary. The wind profile on Oahu is what the developers call world-class. They can do this there. Each island must be made, each island must be made energy self-sufficient. On the neighbor islands, that means smaller, local production, distributed generation. On Lanai, Castle, and Cook, they're still lying to the people, saying that the wind farm, and it's not a farm, if it's built, their electrical rates will go down, presumably because of rate levelization with Oahu. Last night on Lanai, a number of people detailed what they did in their own homes to basically get their electrical bills, and it made me wonder if people on Oahu have to do the same thing. Thank you. Then people told stories of Honolulu offices where people, the AC is so cold, some people run heaters, and then other people run fans because they sit too close to the people with the heaters. So basically, you cannot extinguish a fire by giving it more fuel. Oahu must come to grips with its energy consumption. If we're all really one big connected ohana, which is what they tell us when they want to rape our aina, then they should levelize rates now and bring our rates down to what their rates are right now before anything else. I'm almost done. We are all keiki o ka aina, whether you are Hawaiian or Hawaiian at heart like myself. If you love this land, you are its child, and we must protect Molokai and Lanai and keep Oahu's energy gluttony from destroying our lands. Thank you.
Myron, and then after Myron, Inua, and then James Mawai.
I would have gave him maybe 2 minutes of my 3 minutes. And my comments is, I saw biomass as clean energy. It's not clean energy. The environment, I worked there at Molokai Electric at the time, and we all had hope for biomass. But when we finished all that, it was based on steam. I saw a tree like at Kilohana School, big as that, being chipped. Within 2 hours, they got it chipped. Then they filled it up on the belt. The engineer told us it has a 45 revolution cycle, meaning, and then they piled up that big tree on top of that, meaning it'll get rid of that tree within 20 to 25 minutes. Went up the chute, and the tree, like the one at Kilohana, went down in 25 minutes. I told myself, oh no, this place will not have trees anymore. Then they picked on the place where I grew up, called a stream. At one time, you could throw a stone across the stream. Now you cannot. They started bulldozing trees right next to the stream. They started piling up together, loading it up trucks, chipping it over there. We have a bridge that overflows every year. Took the erosion right down to the ocean. And I said, oh no, that was it. That's the place I grew up, that's the place I love. And I was against, from that time, I couldn't feel more sorry than what I did. We earned a lot of money making that power plant, but it did not last. And I thank God it did not last, it broke down. So even that broke down. With all the maintenance they had over there, it broke down. 1 minute. Okay, since I have only 1 minute, everybody over here want to comment about the wind. I have family in Lanai. We had an expression before. They call it suck wind. Okay. We can tell our Honolulu people, I'm so sorry that they have all the voters. They picked on the island where we have the least voters. I'm telling them this straight. They can suck wind, but suck their own wind, not ours. Yeah.
Inua Mawai, James Mawai, and then Amy Maeda. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing the name right. Is Inua here? James here? Amy Maeda here? Okay, Amy. After Amy is Stacy Koanui Nefalar, and then Susan Osako.
Aloha, Amy Maeda, M-A-E-D-A. I'll be short and sweet. I would like to see the research that creates an impact statement addressing water usage on Molokai. The total residential consumption of Molokai per year plus total agricultural consumption on Molokai per year compared with windmill project water use needed for 1 year. And this would include the number of gallons needed for all that cement, road widening, dust control. I would like to see your plan to mitigate or prevent water rate increase and water rationing to the residents and ag businesses on Molokai.
Thank you. Stacy, Koanui Nefalar, Susan Osako, and then Kay English.
Aloha Molokai. My name is Stacy, S-T-A-C-I-E, Koanui, K-O-A-N-U-I, space, Nefalar, N-E-F-A-L-A-R. I got married and didn't want to leave my name, so I just added on the other name. Okay. I'm originally from Waimanalo, Oahu, and have lived on Lanai for almost 20 years. My maternal ohana goes back several generations on Lanai. I've testified at a couple other scoping meetings and have expressed my opposition to the massive wind farms and undersea cable for Lanai and Molokai. I also want to express my concern and opposition to any energy project which will destroy our land, ocean, and air. Each island needs to be self-sufficient, and we should not have to power any part of Oahu. My Hawaiian spirit has been hibernating for a long time, and I have been living a happy life with my family. I hate public speaking, and I'm angry and upset that we always have to fight for our lifestyle and culture. We may come across as respectful and polite, but watch out, we can become warriors and fight when we need to. History has taught us that individuals, corporations, and government put on these community meetings, act as if they're listening to our concerns, but do the opposite of what we talk with them about, and ultimately do whatever they want, which benefits them and not us. The more money you have, the bigger their ears are. I beg and ask my Molokai cousins to help join us to preserve the last 2 undeveloped islands from further destruction. Mahalo.
Thank you. Susan, Kay English, and is it Olivier Young? I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong.
Okay, my name is Susan Osako, O-S-A-K-O. Hello, everybody. I, too, am from Lanai. That's a picture of our project, and that just left me horror-struck. And then I happened to see this, and I didn't think anything could frighten me more than that, but you know what? This does. Some lands here in this state are so archaeologically, my husband is an archaeologist, and culturally significant that the DOE must identify and preserve these areas by excluding them from utility scale power plants. These are living museums. They are the last vestiges of Hawaiian history and culture. They are the last best pristine places in Hawaii. We cannot lose them. They are irreplaceable. They are rapidly disappearing. Lanai and Molokai are just the last pristine places in Hawaii. The problem with these big, large utility scale projects, and particularly big wind, is just the massive infrastructure. The land can never be restored after being bulldozed and dynamited. The other thing to know is that 400 megawatts, which is approximately what these 2 projects would capacity is, would actually only deliver about 36 to 50 megawatts after going through a table to Oahu. Is this worth $16 billion or more of our tax dollars? That's just crazy. We can't justify, nothing can justify destroying two islands, and particularly not 36 to 50 megawatts. And please know that there is technology out there, and instead of taking up 7,000 acres of our precious land, would only take up 700 acres to produce the same amount of megawatts. That's so small, it can go on Oahu. And there won't, so we don't need to take 7,000 acres of what technology today can actually produce for 700. And in conclusion, I have about 6 of these. It's a Texas study that's done. It's about wind all over Europe. They did job studies, and they found that wherever big wind goes in, there is a net loss of jobs. That may seem to not make sense, but if you read this report, it will begin to make sense, and I do have about 6 copies there. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan. Kay English, Oliver Young, and Carol Hinton. Kay English here? Okay. Oliver Young? Oliver Young? Pardon? You did it? Maybe I'm spelling it wrong. It looks like Olever. Nope, okay. Carol Hinton? All right. After Carol is Kathy Flynn and then Kanoy Davis.
Aloha. My name is Carol Hinton, C-A-R-O-L-H-I-N-T-O-N. First, I advocate that Oahu reduce their use, for starters. And also, if the wind money could translate to solar, it would be marvelous, because obviously sun is our answer for energy. But if they insist on having windmills, they can put them in the ocean by where they want to use the juice. We do not need them, and we won't have them. Thank you.
Kathy Flynn, Kanoy Davis, and Elaine Callanan. Okay.
Thank you. Aloha, everyone. Kathy Flynn, K-A-T-H-I-E-F-L-Y-N-N. Did you hear me? Okay. You mentioned earlier that transmission systems are obsolete. The whole technology boom is, there's so much in the works that we don't even know about. For instance, one of the things I heard on the radio was within 3 to 5 years, batteries will be operated on, run on sugar water. And the newscasters even quipped that it was, that they would be run on Kool-Aid. So we don't really know. Most of the things that we have today are obsolete, that we're trying to put into to work. Another thing is that Molokai has 3 natural resources. The Hawaiian culture is the first one, the sea cliffs, and the reefs. And it shouldn't be disturbed at all, not at all. And another thing I want to say is that Hina is watching, and she's not happy.
Thank you. Kanoy Davis, Elaine Callanan, and then Ronald Raposa Sr.
Aloha, I'm Kanoy Davis, K-A-N-O-E
Davis. Just want to point out, what's the difference in economics and environment 37 years later? In 1974, you say, High Energy Resources Commission, through legislature, did the plan for energy. 37 years later, did you predict this? What will be the difference 18 years from now, 2030? Can you predict that? The idea of convenience and now are only temporary. How can a man-made thing help a man-made thing? It's a cycle. You want renewable resources using man-made things to store and distribute elements? When it's natural elements that have obvious, strong powers that can store and give back through natural, elemental energy and forces. You ask, what additional energy efficiencies are wanted? You need to take away in order to restore energy. What happens when you put too much water in a single cup? It overflows. It does damage. It wastes more water, more time. Uncle said plant trees. Or how about we use the gorilla ogo? You asked about cultural significance? Well, the whole island is spiritual. Nobody wants to talk about spirituality because you cannot write that on a piece of paper. You cannot do research and find that in a book. You like do research? You come here for 5 years. Take away everything that is convenient to you. Then you understand spirituality because there's a different dependency. What is the community impact? We suffer as a single unit. It'll deplete our energy, physical, mental, spiritual, and environmental. It'll taint our soils. There's a chant, E iho ano o luna, that is above will come down. E pi ano o lalo, that which is below will rise. E hui ana namoku, the islands shall unite. E ku ana kapaya, and the walls shall stand upright. Those were uttered years and years and years ago. They knew what was going to happen today. That's where your research needs to start, back there.
I have Elaine, and then Ronald Raposa, and then Gladys Raposa.
Elaine Callanan, C-A-L-L-I-N-A-N. We do appreciate this scoping meeting, and we're grateful for the opportunity to impact future decision-making. Molokai is a small island, only 37 by 10 miles, and it prides itself on being the most Hawaiian and the friendly island because of its community emphasis. It's not an island that can accommodate industrial-scale utility or wind proposals. In light of the small scale and overall environmental fragility of the island of Molokai, I submit that our planning focus on meeting our future energy needs be on distributed renewables. In this way, we can avoid a long list of potential associated environmental, cultural, and socioeconomic impacts incurred by large-scale projects such as envisioned by off-island investment bankers and large construction firms. I have not seen a state baseline assessment, island by island, of energy resources and projected energy needs. How can Hawaii plan responsibly for its future without these data? This programmatic environmental impact statement should focus on local economic development of renewable energy resources based on an island-by-island assessment of current and projected energy use. Thank you.
Thank you. Ronald Raposa, and then after Ronald is Gladys, and then Robin Kay. Okay.
Yeah, my name is Ron Rapanath Sr., born and raised on this island.
Rapanath, sorry.
I'd like to say, I know you guys been talking about the biomass which was put into effect in 1982. I worked for Molokai Electric for 34 years. And I seen the ups and downs with it. The biomass did work. But the only thing it would work with was with KLB. You use eucalyptus, you could never hold a furnace at the steady rate. Okay? So my suggestion to the company at that time was going to coal. Because it was just going to cut down our KLB trees, we won't have any more trees to cut. And I seen the windmills come on this island. We used to run them down at the plants. We had 3 on the west end. It didn't work out. The sea breeze with all the salt took over, and it really wiped out the windmill. We had a few in Hollywood. The only one that worked out was Dr. Langer up in Kalai, where I come from. But he had his one way up there. Okay, the windmill, you know, I went to Maui about a month ago, and going through Lahaina, going over to the airport, I think I counted like 34 windmills, and only 3 were working, you know? So the people have to realize to get wind, you know, you have to, on the windmill to work, you have to have wind, you know? So for me, like I said, I worked for the company for 34 years. We started off when he was down here, and he moved down to Palau. I think a windmill is all right, but I don't think it's good for Hawaii. If it's going to be in our hunting area, what's going to happen if a deer run between the windmill and someone shoot our windmill? Huh? And then you know, the birds flying around, you know, run into it. You know, we had 2, 3 different companies came to us at our NOD commission meeting. I don't know if you guys know, but I represent the hunters on the island of, the whole island of Hawaii. I represent the hunters. So when there's a hunters that have any kind of question, it comes to me at our NOD commission meeting. And a lot of these guys came to us and they said, oh, we want to put up our windmill. Okay, my first question is, did you talk to the landowners? Or they said, no, we want to go, you know, get it passed through you folks. But I think they're going backwards. You know, you have to get it okay from the owners, and then eventually work your way up and come to us. So, as for me, I'm born and raised here. I live only about a mile from where I was born and raised, and I want to keep Molokai the way Molokai is. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rapanath. Robin Kay, Beverly Ferguson, and is it Miss or Mr. Maderos? Well, go ahead.
Aloha, everybody. My name is Robin Kay. I'm with Friends of Lanai, obviously from Molokai. That is a picture of what you will see if Castle & Cook gets its way. I came up here. I don't want to take any of your time. We had our opportunity last night. I really just came to say thank you to Molokai and to Aloha Molokai. You have been our guide, and we love you, and we're going to keep this fight together. They're not going to break us apart. Thank you, Molokai.
Thank you, Robin. Beverly Ferguson. And then I am sorry, this is it, Maderos is the last name? Oh, okay, go ahead.
I'm Beverly Ferguson. That's Beverly, regular, Beverly, then Ferguson, Ferguson. And
I was hoping there'd be a little potluck, but I'll stay in and give my thoughts anyways, because this is an issue that's very dear to my heart, and I'm not impressed with the large-scale windmills. In fact, my whole issue with this is the scale of it. And it seems like the whole process is designed to look for large-scale solutions that will provide energy to large-scale power plants so they can sell the energy to us. And I would like to see that turned around, because what we're trying to do is self-sufficiency, which is very akin to sustainability, but self-sufficiency is where you produce what you need yourself. And so what our family does, we grow our vegetables, my husband hunts, we have solar water heater, and we hang our laundry on the line. But when we came to apply for solar energy, the electric company was allowed to turn us down. We saved up for the money for it. We put in our project with Rising Sun Solar. The project was submitted, and it's only for, I think, 7 solar panels for our house, enough to power us at about 125% of our needs. So it would cover our peak use and then put some into the system, okay, and contribute. And this was with our own monies and, of course, the tax help with that. But that comes after. But anyways, the problem is that the electric company was allowed to deny us and to say that there has to be a 15% cap. And so what I would like to see is their pressure put on the electric companies so that anybody that wants to do any sort of project that helps themselves produce their own electricity on any island, that they not be denied. Thank you. I would like to see small-scale operations be funded for this. The money that's put in to help large-scale, if it was done on a small scale, helping communities, maybe a small windmill in the community to power local needs. If this was done on Oahu, they would not need a cable. So in short, I am in opposition to large-scale windmills. I oppose the idea of putting cables. I would like to see each island be self-sufficient for energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is it Priska? What is your name? Priska?
Aloha, Molokai. I love you all. I was born here, and I know what we had, what we lost, and what we could have had. So whatever little land we have to treasure. You know, I'm very sympathetic of Oahu, because Oahu is not Timbuktu. We are interdependent upon each other for life and survival. So whenever there is a need, we should be there to help. But in this case, because Molokai is such a small island, it's not that we don't want to share what we have with Oahu. No, we want to do that. We're loving people over here. But, you know, if these monster towers were placed in the right setting, in the right zone, they're fine. But for Molokai, it's a wrong place for these monster towers to be on this island. And I live in Mauna Loa, and you know what? If these things are going to be realized, we are going to be literally sandwiched. You know? Well, when I was in grade school, we studied about climatic region. From Manalo to Kanakakai, it was considered savanna. And from Kanakakai to Poko'o, it's steppe. And from Poko'o to North Shore, that's rainforest. Because we are in the savanna area, and these monster tides, they emit heat. And it will make our land much drier. But what it does is that it draws moisture from the soil and leaving the soil hard like clay. Of course, I know we can grow things, but it requires a lot of watering, and we have problem with our water system. It also draws moisture from the vegetation. Well, it kills birds. It prevents our deer from roaming in its natural habitat. Well, you know, no matter how much we rationalize this issue, if we help wildlife, it's going to leave us in a very devastated state. Will be very sad. And it also alters our atmosphere. I'm concerned about the creating wind turbulence and maybe our planes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Auntie. So, Auntie, your name is Prisca, P-R-I-S-C-A, P-R-I-S-C-A, Maderos. Maderos, okay? So the next, are you okay? Okay. So the next three people are Patricia Palmer, Sybil Lopez, and Mahina Ho Ross. Patricia? Sybil Lopez? Okay, thank you so much. Sybil, I saw her earlier. Okay, I'll wait. Okay, well, I'll take Sybil. Do we have Mahina Ho Ross? Okay.
He ke hoa, aloha aina. Ua o Gandharva Mahina Ho Ross, he kupa o ka aina. Greetings, friends. Love the land. My name is Gandharva Mahina Ho Ross, Gandharva Mahina and I think he's taking up precious time to spell my name, so I hope I get a few extra seconds. Anyway, I wear quite a few different hats tonight. The first thing I come as a person born and raised on Molokai in Waialua Valley. All my life I've been off the grid. We have small-scale solar. We have our water come from the stream, and I've never paid a utility bill in my life. And I think the whole Molokai can do that too. And I think we need to seriously give our community a chance to take the time and invest their mana and their power spiritually, mentally, physically into looking into these options. I'm also a teacher at Molokai High School. I teach in the Hawaiian Language Immersion Program, and my students have submitted testimony. So I'll leave that here. I will submit written testimony by the October 9th deadline, but I'm here today to say that as many people have spoken before, Molokai is against utility scale renewables and underwater transmission cables. We are willing to look into other alternatives, specifically distributable renewables, energy efficiency, and alternative fuels. So I think there's a lot of options on the table that give the people to actually the time and energy where there's not enough time for us to present these options because we haven't given the time to research and come up. But we have lots of smart people in our community and lots of startup businesses that are getting the ball rolling who can produce these types of plans for our future. We do know that we want to remain sustainable. We have been fairly sustainable for most of the last 1,000 years. So I think we kind of know what we're doing here on Molokai. The problem is we have people coming from the outside always telling us what to do and what they think is best for us. And it's not providing electricity to other islands. It's not putting any type of large projects that will impact our many resources. And there's a long list in the EIS, the call for EIS, and I think every single one of those will be impacted by large utility scale renewables as well as the transmission cables. So there's not enough time to pinpoint this and that about the specifics, but every single one of the things that are listed on that document will be negatively impacted to utility scale and cables, and we still need time to investigate renewable type of energy for our island, and we can definitely become 100% sustainable. Mahalo.
Mahalo. Sybil Lopez, after Sybil, Adolph Helm, and then Janelle Hugh.
Aloha, my name is Sybil Lopez, S-Y-B-I-L-L-O-P-E-Z. I'm going to try to be within the 3 minutes, but I have actually a demonstration that I want to show to you guys to know what is ethanol. Not everybody's seen it, and it's never been available to the state of Hawaii, especially for the island of Molokai. Nobody I've seen ethanol as 100% purity. And whatever the internet says and what the myths are about it, we're going to prove it here tonight just to show you guys. And this is the first demonstration publicly that has ever been made in the whole state of Hawaii. I did it before in front of Maui Toyota, and I did it with a couple groups on the island of Maui. But I want to show you guys to know what ethanol is all about. So ethanol is a biofuel made from sugarcane, corn, grain, and other plant matter, which can be mixed with or substituted for gasoline. Ethanol is one form of renewable energy that is becoming widely used and is formed from a natural resource. Ethanol is a form of alcohol that can be burned in engines just like gasoline. It is the same alcohol used in alcoholic beverages, vodka, rum, you name it. Flexible and easily mixed, it's called a miscible product, meaning that it is better for car engines, petroleum, fossil fuels, or crude oils. Ethanol improves performance more than gasoline and will give you up to 50% increase in mileage. Ethanol is the highest octane fuel in the market and is known as an octane booster. Ethanol does not leave any gummy deposits. Ethanol helps to keep the vehicle's fuel system clean for optimal performance. Example, mechanic in a can. Ethanol is the cheapest anti-knock lubricant, coolant, octane booster, any additive that you can buy. Ethanol helps to reduce air pollution, and ethanol is available in Hawaii and Molokai today. So, okay. So this is from our Chevron gas station. This is Plus Gas Premium. What is my lovely Vanna White assistant will do is pour a couple, not much, to put in to show you guys when you guys burning gasoline, how does it look like in your engines and what your engine's actually producing. Okay? So this is the gasoline that he'll be firing up. And as you notice, you can see black smoke already instantly coming out of this, gasoline. If you can notice that the gasoline will produce black around the glass, okay? And then this is actually ethanol, 100% ethanol straight from Brazil. This is made from sugarcane ethanol. And we will light up ethanol. And this is what ethanol will look like in your vehicles. It's smokeless, odorless, and it is clear. So after it's done, you guys can see the difference between the black gasoline that you guys run in your guys' vehicles right now and the ethanol that you guys gonna do in your guys' future vehicles. And I am a testimony that you guys know that I own a 2005 Toyota Tacoma. I did nothing to convert my engines at all, and I run 100% ethanol. And that is a study that I did on my own truck to prove that ethanol actually really works. And here's another testimony that he does 50% ethanol and gasoline in his Toyota truck. I have a triple catalytic converter, and I also customize my own vehicle, but it also Oh, sorry, I gotta, wait, I never even come to my conclusion yet, but for Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, if you guys go on the website, they're gonna show 46 renewable energy projects that they're doing throughout the whole state of Hawaii. That you guys gotta know that there's only one project that they actually recognize, and that project is Pattern Energy Molokai Properties Limited, meaning that they will support that. Other than that, with NPL, highly recommended, I highly recommend and consider that we should actually look into distributed renewable energies, biomass and biofuel. You can also do this from waste to energy. All of the waste that you have can be converted into that fuel. So you have two different types, meaning distributed energies or diversified energy sources that we can actually use and grow. And that our landfills are building up. We don't have any capacity for our land space. Hawaii waste is being shipped out of the exported outside. That's where Oahu's waste go. They don't utilize these kind of technologies. And I'm letting you know that advanced technologies is here on the islands and we can do it. So if you guys can help fund, and this is a utilization tool where we can ask for funding and you guys can look at alternative energies, here are some of them.
All right,
so that's just,
mahalo, Sybil. Okay, thank you. Next, I have Adolph.
What part? Oh no, no,
she's gonna submit another one. So, okay, so we've got Adolph.
Go
Janelle.
on the internet and look up alcohol can be a gas.
Yeah, no, that's not an official comment. Yeah, I got Adolph, and then Janelle, and then Kimo McPherson.
Aloha, that's a hard act to follow. But anyway, Adolph Helm, first name Adolph, last name Helm. Mahalo nui for allowing the opportunity to give testimony. I won't go into details, but I just like to point out one critical part that I think is very, very important, especially for the federal government and the state, is to really look and weigh heavily on what the community stand is on renewables on this island. I say that because this should be the community and the people's effort to drive the renewable energy plan for Molokai. And I just want you to I just want to make perfectly clear that the burden is on you guys to ensure that the community drives the energy plan for each island. Mahalo.
Thank you, Adolph. Next, I have Janelle Hugh, Kimo McPherson, and is it Luella Maneja? I know I'm saying that wrong. Here, let me take it down.
No, that's okay.
No, sit down.
No. I get them.
You got them. Okay.
Well, she gave them to me anyway. Now, when I spell my name, is that part of my 3 minutes?
Nope, I won't count it against you, but I will remind you.
Okay, I want to thank you all again for coming and for your dedication of time, discernment, and research on this very important energy issue. My name is Janelle Hugh, Janeel Hew. I am a resident of Mauna Loa, Molokai. Please let it be noted that I stand in agreement to the fact that our DOE should focus on energy independence for each island, preventing the need for an undersea cable. The DOE should identify, exclude, and protect the lands that contain native Hawaiian cultural sites, historical value, significant scenic view plains, or threatened and endangered species from industrial utilities scale projects. The DOE should also identify lands to exclude from industrial utility scale wind proposals due to the disproportionate impact of scale on limited land mass and rural lifestyles. I would also like to add that as Hawaii seeks to fulfill its goal in achieving the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, it should be true to the definition of clean energy. All the energy resources, even if it is proven to be renewable, should first and foremost be proven as clean, from start of construction to transmission of and usage of the power. Hiding behind the word renewable is not going to protect our environment. All resources being considered should not be given the right to take advantage of falling under Act 55 and should be forced to uphold the strictest environment protection laws. The undersea cable should be removed as an option, for its true environmental impact cannot fully be determined without decades of oceanic studies. And all the wind turbines have already proven to be a danger to the environment and to people. Programs and organizations that are not directly affected by a project of energy should be exempt from receiving any benefits or payoffs. Ban all non-energy efficient appliances for sale in Hawaii and place an immediate cap on overdevelopment on Oahu. Even the roads need energy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is Kimo McPherson, and then I think it's Ms. Manara, and then Kanoho Wailuku Helm.
Yeah, Kimo McPherson, K-I-M-O, M-C-P-H-E-R-S-O-N, McPherson, the last name. God, I got a real good education tonight from all you people. I think we got some very, very intelligent, knowledgeable people here in this community. And I'm quite awestruck by the knowledge you people have. I love you all. But I'd like to focus on, well, first of all, I was born and raised in Waikiki, Kalia. That was before there was any hotels in that area. Now you got the Ilikai. The Ala Moana Shopping Center was being dredged. All that mud was where the Ala Moana Shopping Center is now. So, guess what? When I came to Molokai in the 50s, my father was going to retire. Came to Molokai, I said, Daddy, this looks like where we were born and raised. You know, and now you would never recognize the place. Hotels all over, tourists all over the place. And there is no money in the land there. It's all to make money, to sustain big corporations. So when I come before you tonight, I'm reading, in fact, I was here at the last meeting you had, and it was all hypothetical. Department of Energy was giving us all this information and saying, you know what, we don't want no answer, we're not going to answer questions, we just want your comments on all this information that we have right here for you to, in 2 seconds, disseminate and let us know what your comments are. So I kind of went home because how are you going to comment on something you have no information, no background on? But what I wanted to focus on is the Department of Energy welcomes comments on the scope of the Hawaii Clean Energy PIS. All comments received will be considered in the preparation of the draft PIS and be made publicly available, including the PEIS website. Now, you know, Department of Energy, it's all analytical. Incentives for homeowners, or is it incentive for government subsidies? Is this for big corporations, or are these tax credits for those corporations to succeed? Very broad reviewed process. It doesn't give us any meat for us to put our mana'o on. Hawaii Clean Energy PIS, it doesn't mean anything to me. I don't understand what that means. Distributed renewables, what does that mean? For homes, utility scale renewables. I'd like to make this comment. is this PIS analytical approach for the people like us, or is it for the corporations to exist? Is it for the electric companies to be sustainable, or is it for the small man that has to pay his electric bill, which is very, very high on our island? The Department of Energy is saying the role is only for informational. What does that mean? I mean, is there any teeth in this PIS document? I'm trying to comment on what you're telling me. If there's any teeth in this PIS document, will it be a tool for corporations, or will it be a document that reflects the wishes of the people? Okay, I'm almost finished right now, because the PEIS tool, is this a tool for the Department of Education only, for incentives, tax credits, for who? Who is it for? They don't say. They're not committing themselves. There is no warranty on, there's nothing on their word that says, they're going to say they're going to take it back in closed doors, and they'll let you know what they come up with. But I am going to make comments, quite a few comments before, let's see, what the deadline was.
October the 9th.
October the 9th, which is like pretty soon.
2-3 weeks.
2-3 weeks. Well, you know, huh? Huh?
Your time is gone.
Okay, that's my 3 minutes. Now I can go home.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next speaker is, and I'm sorry, I cannot read the first. Is it Ms. Manera? I apologize if I'm saying it wrong. the first name, Luiai? Luigi, I'm sorry, Luigi. Luigi is here? He went home. Okay. Kanoho Wailuku Helm. And then I have Nancy Rand, but I think it might be crossed out, and then Brian Espinola. Aloha. Byron.
I'll just keep this short. I just attended 2 meetings, one in Maui and then one on Lanai, and it's very good feedback from the people. And I was encouraging them to not just speak their comments, but to write it down and write as many comments as possible, so that you can have your concerns heard. I think the deadline is October 9th. Okay, so the deadline is October 9th. I'd like to encourage everybody to submit comments. I'll do that as well, and hopefully some of you are starting to write down comments as well. With that, what more can I say? Who over here supports the industrial wind farm and the cable running to Oahu? You can raise your hand if you do. It's okay. Okay. Wow. I just hope that can go on record. As of what time is it now? 8:30. Whatever people is left here, I mean, I estimate maybe 50 or 60 people are here left at the meeting. Nobody supports the industrial wind farm and the cable. I hope that can go on the record. Who over here supports energy, specifically for Molokai, looking at clean renewable energy, small scale? Who over here supports that? Okay, very good. And one more question. Who over here supports the wind farm and the cable and the death of 11,000 acres of our land and possibly the exodus of our Mauna Loa town people and our West Molokai people? Who would support that? Who would trade that in for any benefits? Okay, no one. If that can go on record as well. Thank you so much. Aloha.
Thank you, Kanoho. After I have Mr. Espinola and then Roshani Nash and Jacob. Next to Jacob, it said he's in the gym. Need to go get him. So can somebody go get Jacob? He only put Jacob first name.
Hello. My name is Byron Espanola, BYRONESPANIOLA. One of you guys was talking about working for the executive, being with the president. Who was that? Knowing the executive order, I've always stood on the executive order. Executive order, the agreement that Liliuokalani made with President Grover Washington is an international, was a treaty back in 1893. There was a treaty that was supposed to have been the laws of the United States. The president's supposed to administer a kingdom law that all land titles from 1893 till now is null and void, meaning that because of the executive order, which you understand as an executive agreement between a president and, say, like Karzai, you have to administer kingdom law. So everything after that is null and void. The only contracts that is legal is our birth certificate, our marriage certificate, our death certificate. So with that, you guys showing up on Pi, you're trying to shove it down these good people, and we'll take it in court that because of the kingdom still stands, and as a sovereignist, the independent of the Kingdom of Hawaii still stands. The United States has no power here. The state of Hawaii is going through a political paradigm shift where they're looking at the Kingdom of Hawaii re-establishing themselves here in Hawaii. So with the Kingdom of Hawaii and executing these laws, I like to say everything will be done in court. If our people decides for Molokai, and we'll decide for Molokai. If not, we'll take this matter into court and we'll have a heyday.
Thank you. Okay, I have Roshani, and I think Jacob isn't here. And then Wade Lee, and then after Wade is Trina Myson.
My name is Roshani Nash. It's R-O-S-H-A-N-I. My last name is Nash, N-A-S-H. I just want to add my voice to all those who have spoken this evening against big wind. I say no to big wind and no to the undersea cable. Our community does not support any large-scale industrial wind project brought to our island by big banks and private corporations. We do support decentralized solar power. We would like to see solar power or PV on every rooftop in Molokai. Please consider that our whale sanctuary will be affected. I would like to know if the PEIS will talk about whether or not the cable will put out any kind of frequency. All across the U.S. Today, when people live close to the wind power, they complain about illness because they can feel the thrum of the wind in their chest if they live close by. And I just wonder what it will do to the whales when they are in our channels between Molokai and Maui. It does not take a genius to see that putting towers over 400 feet will cause erosion, terrible erosion into our reef and into our water and into the ocean. Blasting the reef also will affect our fish populations. So I just want to again say that we're against it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next is Wade Lee. And then after Wade is Trina Myson, is that correct? And then after Trina is Walter Riddy.
Hello, my name is Wade Lee. K-M-E-H-A-K-M-E-H-A. I represent Molokai Sustaining Farming Project, and I like suggest some things. Some of the things growing up on this island was farming with my dad. Tomato, Uncle Dicky Hanchett, Uncle Glenn Borden, Kinini, Ata Kinini. We farmed tomatoes like that, and, and then we went into alfalfa. We lost our butts. Almost my father lost his house. Problem was, we own, young brothers would own us. We had to ship everything off island. So I want to suggest something. Molokai Sustaining Farming Project, will I grow biofuel over here, biodiesel? A couple things I like. The vision is economic growth for Molokai and the farming industry infrastructure by creating a market on Molokai for Molokai. Molokai Electric, $9 million that we spent on fossil fuel. The other thing I want to say that biofuel for transportation to help incorporate native Hawaiian plants into our feedstock research. And not only for fuel, but medical and for food. The cake, after you press out all the seeds, 80% is protein. It can be fed to our livestock. Okay, so that's a good thing. And that's something that no other alternative energy can give back. Okay, third, if we plant kukuina and squeeze that, yeah, we can bring back the rain, and the rain is called Kale na Ulu, which is a rain cloud that my grandmother talked about from Kaho'olawe to Lanai to Molokai back to Maui. How many of you guys see the rain cloud from Mauna Loa to Kamako? When we come about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, the thing disappear. That's what we gotta take care of. So we're not looking at only renewable energy, but to bring back, enhance the resources of Molokai so that we can do better. Most of all, what else products we can use in biodiesel? All the grease traps that they're throwing in our landfill, that thing can squeeze oil. The slaughterhouse, all the skins they turn away, that you can squeeze oil and all the fat from the animals. The waste cooking oil from all the restaurants, that you can turn to kind. The oil from mechanical waste oil, that you can squeeze into biodiesel. You think going working in our electric plant? Sure. Kihei right now, electric plant runs 100% biodiesel. Okay? 100%. They're running biodiesel in Maui. What's the price for us on Molokai? Oh, real simple. We pay $5.60 at the pump, $4.80 straight from Standard Oil. We can get them here $1 cheaper, biodiesel. Yeah? And we're going to open up one biodiesel distributor over here so that we can afford for farm our tractors. Yeah? Last thing I like to say to the Department of Energy, as a Native Hawaiian, you need to respect our cultural rights and our rights to our resources. It should be, if anything that come Molokai, any project, even what I suggesting, should be under the review, and if any that imposes upon Native Hawaiian rights, resources, and spiritual, should be a reason to have a contested case hearing that we can protest and make sure that they're not infringing upon our water rights, spiritual, and cultural. Next. Last thing. Projects on Molokai. We should vote on Molokai, and only by Molokai, to accept the projects by Department of Energy or to deny. Mahalo.
Thank you, Wade. Trina, Walter, Kamalu, Conrad, and then Auntie Judy.
Aloha. My name is Trina Meinsen, Trina-Meinsen. And I just want to say, my husband and I live on West End, Molokai, and if you go outside to view the stars at night, the Oahu just looks like a beacon out there, like a spaceship. It's so bright, and it drowns out the stars. Just this air or sky light pollution. It's just terrible. They just need to just use less power, and then we won't have to share our wind with them. They took the sand from Papahaku, now they want our wind. It's terrible, that's all I have to say. No windmills on Molokai. Why should we have to give up our lifestyle for them, their lifestyle? It's just not fair.
Thank you. Walter, and then Kamalu, Conrad, and then Auntie Judy. Are you okay?
My name is Walter, last name R-I-T-T-E. I have some comments for the Department of Energy. First of all, when it comes to the island of Molokai, they should recognize the Aha Kiole as a consultation group that needs to be consulted whenever they do any energy projects. They need to also put in their guidelines that each island is separate, and they need to get permission from the island of Molokai before they do any energy projects. Also under the guidelines, there needs to be an area or a subsection called subsistence protection. The island of Molokai has more than one economy. It has two economies. One is the cash economy, and the other one is a subsistence economy. And both needs to be protected, especially the subsistence economy. Traditional activities need to be protected if they're going to do any energy projects on Molokai. Taro fields in the valleys and on dry land, fish ponds, hunting, gathering, fishing. We have two very valuable resources on the island of Molokai that need special protection. One is our reefs. We have over 11,000 acres of reefs. We have the largest contiguous reef system in all of the United States, and the reefs needs to be protected. The other is the valleys of the North Shore of Molokai. They need to be protected. These valleys have between 4 and 9 million gallons of water running through these valleys every day. It has wall-to-wall infrastructure built by our elders that need to be protected. And the waters in each of these valleys are pristine. You can actually drink the waters. The guidelines should reflect not only statewide guidelines and county guidelines, but they need to reflect island guidelines. You need to have a section for island guidelines. We cannot allow bigger islands like Oahu to push their way onto our islands. This is very, very important because each island is different. This is not the United States of America where everybody's connected and you can drive from one place to the other and you're not quite sure where you are. Over here, each island is different, it's significant, and those differences need to be protected. For the guys from the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, you need to understand that our second economy also depends on the ocean as well as the reefs. And the ocean goes, which guy is from the ocean management? I don't know who that guy is. Mark. The ocean doesn't end at the shoreline. It goes at least a mile out into the ocean. And the state has some jurisdiction over it, but the feds will be involved in some kind of a partnership thing with the state. The most important thing we need to get to you guys to understand is that the Penguin Banks really comes under Molokai's jurisdiction. If they're going to put windmills on the Penguin Banks, or if they're going to put wave things to make energy, all those kinds of things, this island needs to give their consent. So this island, through the Aha Kiole, can provide free and informed consent. That's critical. We don't want to have the governor making decisions for us or the county of Maui making decisions to us. We have our own governance on this island called the Aha Kiole. Okay, thank you.
And Walter, you can always submit comments too, write it too. Thank you very much. Next is Kamalu, then Conrad, and then Auntie Judy.
I have lozenges in my mouth, so if it clicks, because I have a sore throat. So anybody after me, use this mic. But everyone spoke so eloquently about. Is it on? Oh, Kamalu, Kamalu, Poe. I think it's pretty clear what this island wants and doesn't want. And we've made it clear this evening, definitely. And mahalo Lanai for coming out as well and joining us. What I want to speak to something, not that's been said already, but something that is different, to bring something more to the table here for you to hear about. And that is the culture, the cultural impact. First of all, I'm not sure what the measure is in the assessment for the creation of a guide. Each island knows itself. Certainly there are protocols in Hawaiian culture that should be followed. The first of which is anything that happens on that island is that island's kuleana. And that should certainly be looked into. It is that island's kuleana. Because for another island to come in and tell this island what to do, that's called war. That's an act of war. And none in Hawaiian protocol, no one ever went without the exception of war to someone else's place and call the shots. It's not only well-known Hawaiian way. I mean, it's universal, ubiquitous. It's the way things are, and I think you should look into that very carefully. Also, the people who are the experts in the cultural assessment should come from each island, because those people will be the ones who knows what's going on that island culturally. And this is generations. So I'd like to recommend that as well. One other thing I'd like to say with my 1 minute is that there are a lot of people who are not here, but who would love to weigh in and deserve to weigh in as Molokai residents. And so the Ahakiole, which is the group that represents all of the moku of this island, would like to propose a second. We've already done a survey on the windmill energy project and had a resounding no. But we would like to propose, because it's what we do and it's the way we ask our communal neighbors on this island, this is how it's done here. If we can do a second updated survey that addresses directly the PEIS issues in a scaled survey, that's the kind that does, okay, I got almost fouled, strongly agree to strongly disagree. If you would be interested in that, because this is what we do, and we would like more of this island to be represented than the people who come here, especially those who don't normally involve themselves or don't feel comfortable with coming out to political or this kind of thing, this kind of forum. So that's my question. Okay. Mahalo.
Mahalo Kamalu. I have the last three speakers, Conrad, Auntie Judy, and Halona Kaopuiki. Does anybody else want to speak after that hasn't signed up? Okay. Why don't you, so you can sign up your name. Go ahead. 3 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Can you use that one?
Aloha, my name is Conrad, C-O-N-R-A-D. Mahalo ke akua, mahalo aina i ka pono. Ke kio kaina ka pono no ana ke akua I kana ele I ia e ka ua koko o na kinu malu I kalani malu e o ulo laka I kona kau o makau no makau ai. We need federal help, please, for our Hawaiian people and everybody else. The state is running us over. Help us, please, federal. Put us Hawaiian people back on our lands. Make us productive. We can produce the food. Please, because the state isn't doing nothing for us Hawaiian people. Aloha.
Mahalo, Conrad. Auntie Judy and Auntie Ruth. And then after that, I have Halona. Does somebody else want to speak? Okay. Why don't you sign up?
My name is Judy Caparita. It's JUDYCAPARIDA. Aloha Molokai. I really want to thank the Lord for all our blessings. I want to say that I remember them saying this just for 20 years about this windmill. But you know what? The Lord gave us the wind, and it's free. We don't have to pay money to have this thing generate, and it doesn't work. I went to the mainland, and I heard the car was kind of vibrating. So I told my daughter, what's happening? And the sound was going whoop, whoop, whoop. I said, wow, what is it? She said, oh, just wait till we turn the corner, Mom, and then you're going to see. And she said, look up. And I looked up. I couldn't see anything. I said, park the car on the side so I can see. And I saw this monstrous windmill. And the sound went woof, woof, woof. It was inside, it was in a desert. But you can imagine that, a Molokai. Our island is so small. I say everybody will be irritated by that sound because you cannot keep still. That stuff make you move too. You know, that's why it was bad for the health. So I really want to say that we should be contented with what we have. We thank the Lord because through all the things we went through on Molokai, we still survived, and we still can do it because we are contented with what we have. There's a lot of things that we have to do away with to get ourselves in line to what we can afford. And because we are here, because Molokai is blessed. We're blessed from the mountain to the ocean. We have all the land, and that is to make food so that we can survive. I really thank the people for coming here, but we ain't leaving somebody else's life. The governor, the president, whoever can do what they want to do, but we live here. So we have to say in whatever we feel comfortable and what we can afford to live with. Thank you.
Mahalo, Auntie Judy. Auntie, we'll state your name too, okay? State your name too.
My name is Ruth Manu. Aloha, Molokai and Lanai. We truly want to thank God, first of all. He's top number one in our lives, and all the people of Molokai, as well as for Lanai. We're here against the windmill. We have been doing that for quite a long while. The part is this: would any one of us would give up our birthright or our inheritance that our forefathers has given, passed on down generation? Would you give up that right? Answer me. Hello? Are you up? Are you sleeping? Excuse me, we're at a meeting. Of course not. Why should you give up your inheritance or your birthright to somebody outside of our island? They just come here and tell us what and what, but we, the people of Molokai, has a right. You have a right to everything that is happening on this island. and we're here to stand as Kupunas of Molokai, letting you guys know, you tell us what you like, we say you're on our turf, and you listen to what we say. So I love all you guys. Lanai, thank you for coming over, and whoever Maui, and God bless all you guys.
Thank you, Auntie Ruthie. Okay, I have, let's see. Okay. I got Halona, and then after Halona, I have, is it Tori? Tony. Okay, Halona. Say your name and spell your name, Halona.
Halona Kopuiki, HALONA-KAOPUIKI. I'd just like to thank all the commissioners who came, you know, your Malahinis who came over. I want this on record in my testimony tonight is I'm a Native Hawaiian cultural practitioner. My kuleana, my concentration is on the west side of the Ahupua'a of Kalakoi. I'm a lineal descendant from there. I'm an archaeologist. I had to go to the MCC to get certificate to be notarized as an archaeologist, but it was a home study. I was raised traditional. When I was born, my mother gave me away to my grandparents, and there was the law. She had no authority when my grandfather got me. The knowledge that I have on the west side is bred deep in me. The lands on the west side, what my father told me was this whole island is like a lizard. And the power, the defense of the lizard is the tail end. And the tail end is Ilo Point and Lau Point. That is the mana of these lands. So again, I like to acknowledge and on record that I am a cultural Native Hawaiian practitioner. And my whole knowledge is on the west side of this island. And again, I'd like to thank the commissioners to be here. Please, commissioners, take all the advice and all the information that you got from the Molokai people. I thank IAM. You guys are doing a great job. You know, much mahalo to the IAM Ohana. Again, look at all the testimonies that you guys heard tonight that we don't like what's happening. And I thank you again, commissioners. Dawn, I thank you to being patient with us. Even though we train jabs, but we are very patient, we are very humble people. Again, mahalo. Thank you.
Mahalo, Halona. Okay. The last person I have is Tony. Is there anybody else who has not spoken that would like to come up? If you could sign, pardon? Okay, all right. Okay. Tony? Oh, sorry, you can use that.
Tony, Tony, Langella, Langella, Italian. I'm not Hawaiian, but Hawaiian at heart. Anyway, I just want to share a poem that I wrote when I was volunteering for the National Park Service as an interpretive ranger in Eastern Washington. It was back in 1998. But it's just something to kind of end the night for everybody to just think about. It's called Ode to Our Mother. Earth, our home, Mother Nature as its keeper, making life, taking life, while we search for things deeper. The ocean waves crash, molding the land. Lightning bolts flash, burning an ancient stand. The winds blow silent as dirt meets sky, whispering, take good care, for all light bleeds hope and truth on which we all rely.
Thank you, Joe. Oh, Tony.
Just something to think about. And basically, you can't get energy without using energy. Energy revolves all around the world and in space, in the universe. Everything is energy. And so this is what I know we're talking about renewable energy and all that, and I think that's all great. And of course, no to the windmills and no to the cable or anything that is going to take away from the culture, the people, and the earth. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. You are. Did I miss you?
I should be with Auntie Prisca.
Okay, well, why don't you just introduce
Oh,
yourself?
okay.
Come up, why don't you go up to that mic?
Okay.
You go last.
My name is Pat Palmer, and I was going to speak before, but I don't do so good in front of the mic. I have only one short statement. Hello, Auntie Judy. It's
Oh, speak into the mic.
no windmills on Molokai, no additional cable installation on Molokai, no disturbing the reef, no interference of the whale sanctuary. That's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Oh, be careful. Be careful. Joe, does anybody want to speak after Joe? Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you. Aloha, everybody. Joseph Kalipi from Mauna Loa, Molokai, born and raised Molokai, from Manae. But God had me move around, and so now I'm in Mauna Loa for almost 20 years now. This is my backyard that is being proposed right now, and so it does take an offense for me that this is being proposed in our backyard. We don't want it. I don't want it. When you listen to a lot of stuff and you do a little research of it, seems like a really big scam. I don't know if this is falling on deaf ears or we're just going through the motion. Sometimes it feels like how much meetings that you gotta come, how much different fights, Molokai, you gotta go through. I mean, we've been through La'au and maybe still ongoing, who knows, from water issues and everything else, but Imua Molokai. Imua, stand strong, Onipa'a. And it's just wonderful to see the spirit of Molokai in here. There's some wonderful speakers that gave the Mana'o their information. And again, I hope these federal agents or these federal department are listening to what is being said and not being swayed. Please don't make us criminals. Please don't make us criminals. Because when next step going to happen, other people going to have to make next step. Please don't make our people criminals. And we just like aloha the process. And I hope people are listening that they can fight for our behalf. I really think we're in one of the largest or greatest fight we've ever been into, Molokai. And we've been against Molokai Ranch. We've been against different development, but here we are. We're not only against Molokai Ranch, we're against the state government. And who knows, thank you, sir. Who knows that if the federal government is jumping on the bandwagon, please, federal government, do not piggyback and join these guys, help us. We plead to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Conrad.
Sorry for Auntie, I just told her I gotta say one more thing. She said, no.
I said,
I told her, Auntie, I gotta go up talk one more time. Please, again, right now they're selling out our Hawaiian homelands on Oahu, down Makaha, to people that not supposed to be on Hawaiian homestand. The mission statement was to put Hawaiian people on the land. Now the state is selling them out.
Okay. Conrad.
I'm not through yet, Auntie. Please again, listen to this. The state of Hawaii, Department of whatever, Kekiokaine, blah, blah. They're not taking care of our native Hawaiians. We got to go back with the federal aid. They're not doing nothing for us. Auntie, I'm so sorry, but I had to say this. The Hawaiians down there is fighting. They're stealing the land. They're selling them out for their gain. When people dying on a waiting list for years, 79-year-old uncle still never get his homestead yet.
Conrad.
Yes, Auntie.
You know what? Can you take this up with the Hawaiian Homelands Commission?
They're under the state, Auntie.
Okay, but
they're
this
not
is
doing
a
nothing
federal...
for the Hawaiians.
Okay.
So I'm talking to the federal government right now. Please help the Hawaiian people, because we're a dying race and we're losing everything, and they're just running us over like dirt.
Thank you, Conrad. Mahal. Thank you. Okay, Conrad. Okay. Aloha. How are you?
Aloha. I'm Corrine Kehonani Helm. Corrine, C-O-R-E-N-E, Helm, H-E-L-M. Okay. I just wanted to say a couple of things. From what I've heard tonight, 100% were not for the windmills. So I just wanted to put that down for the record. And I also wanted to say that my grandfather his roots are from Molokai, from Ka'amola. My grandfather is pure Hawaiian. He's passed already, but I want to share a couple of things that's very personal and for us to learn from. You know where the stadium is in on Oahu? My grandfather had to eminent domain. He was forced to sell his land there. Consequently, we have that beautiful stadium. But he had no choice. The government paid him a little bit of money, and so the stadium sits there. Hana Ranch has just sold out to Biological Capital. Well, some land from Hana Ranch was adverse possessed from my kupuna. That's my grandfather, Halualani. Where I was born and raised, before Kahikili Highway, there was a stream coming from the Ko'olaus down to our Aina there. My grandfather was forced to sell his water rights. I know that we all have our own personal histories, and that is just a little bit of mine that I'm sharing with you. And it was a very big thing in my family, but how sad it is that resources were taken away from the government because of this and that. And I want to say that how proud I am of all of you here in this Metropolitan Center, that you have all stood up and said what you said, how you felt about our precious island here, Molokai. And thank you very much for allowing me this little bit of time. But just food for thought for when you go home. You all have your own histories, and I have mine. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. I have greatly appreciated all of the courtesies that you've extended each other and to us. You have up until October the 9th to submit your comments. I think on the screen there were different ways. You can fax your comments, you can email it, you can mail a hard copy. We will be in Honolulu tomorrow. So we'll be in Council High School tomorrow. So if you want to come tomorrow, you can still submit your comments. But thank you very much. Do you wanted to say one last thing? Oh, one announcement that's off the record? No. Okay, because I think our court reporter has, she is, yeah.
Really sore.
I just wanted to let everyone know that there'll be 2 IAM meetings specifically for submitting comments to the PEIS. We'll be going over the process and how to submit Monday at 5:30 at the OHA building. And there'll be another one in Mauna Loa at the Rec Center at 5:30 on Tuesday. This coming Monday the 24th and Tuesday the 25th. So let other people know that maybe we're not able to make this meeting so that they can help these people in this process. Thank you.
Okay. Again, thank you, everyone. I appreciate all of you being here and your manao. No, that one's mine. Yeah. Okay. Mahalo.